Darkwind loses 0-2 to LRS admin.
True.
I just now saw that. Out for slightly less blood than me on Twitter, but not by much.
Yeah. I mean, I did tell somebody that they're an absolutely terrible analyst on Twitter, on my personal account, so
Mood.
as a result of everything. So got the flame in, just not on the middle stakes Twitter.
Honestly, a reasonable decision. Ah, it's draft wall time. I hope we get a Vaughn and Sad Boy style draft at least one game where we're aggressively guessing at where any of the champions are going. Because that could totally happen with this lineup. I didn't know what to do with myself and downtime at work today. There's no worlds.
Luckily, or unluckily, I was super fucking busy today, so I wouldn't have had time to watch any Worlds anyway. So it worked out for me. But...
Nice. Yeah, Thursdays are like the slowest day at my job. It just happened to coincide with like the one day off from Worlds this week. A bit disappointing.
So I already have a critique of the Imperial Knights. Their logo is the actual largest image ever created by man.
Oh, nice. Can I get resolution specs on this, please?
I have... Let me see if I can pull up how big it is. I had to shrink it like 9 times.
Nice.
Dimensions 4168 by 4167. Not even a perfect.
It's as wide as it is tall. Nice.
Not even a perfect square. 1 pixel off.
Incredible, really. Yeah, I was doing a lot of image work for the company's social media account today, so yeah, file compression and trying to do everything on Mac when I've been a PC person for 23 years is really killing me.
Ooh, yeah. Mac feels more natural when you finally get the hang of it to do stuff like that, but it's probably a transition. Why do I have... Oh, okay. Anyway, the largest Rotom logo we have is 2542 by 2541, also not a perfect square, so that's a thing. I wonder why they're 1 off. I wonder if that's just a thing. When you shrink it, it's a square, though.
It does seem like it's probably just a thing.
The one that I normally use is 763 by 763.
Huh. Maybe it starts only mattering after like 1980 or whatever.
Maybe. Okay, we're red side for game 1. IKB, I'm pretty sure. IKB. Do I have LAS somewhere? Oh, it's in the stream title. I missed the A. There we go. Is that guy really Diamond 1? Or is that TFT? I'm assuming it's TFT.
You can usually tell by number of wins. 79? I don't know,
79
man.
Yeah, 79's a toss-up.
Who the Opdot? I guess. You think he plays Swain?
He's Diamond 1 in Flex. That's his
Uh-oh.
Flex Q rank.
Interesting.
He's also got a negative win rate in Flex. But a 58% in regular.
Who in God's name plays that much Flex?
Yeah, I don't know. Also,
What a Gnar KDA, by the way. Also, he's a top laner in Flex. Oh, I guess he's a top laner, period.
not that much Swain. I actually don't see any Swain.
No, no Swain. And in solo, he's just mid. Oh, okay. Ranked solo, there's quite a bit of Swain. But not recently.
Weird. Okay, now we've scouted one guy. We have all of the info we need on Vision of Empire.
Correct.
Oh,
Also,
and they're
draft
drafting.
has happened.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the LRS quarterfinals. I'm Maris. My co-caster is Oath, and we've got Return of the Middlesticks Crowstorm taking on Imperial Knights Blue, and there's a Yuumi first pick going.
B1 Yuumi, superiority complex.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm so here for this. Rel is not exactly what I was expecting, but Rel Samira, a completely fine lane if it gets locked in. Usually you look for like something that hard punishes Yuumi when you see it locked in like this, but yeah, maybe that's just not the style they want to play.
Yeah. What in your opinion hard punishes Yuumi then? Do you think the Rel was already they're gonna lock in Rel Tristana? Do you think that's that almost feels like the opposite, where you're just trying to outscale with the Tristana rather than really punish? But
yeah, I'm more partial to like Nautilus, Pike, Swain if it's like a quality option. I'm not leaning super hard into the pick hook champions into Yuumi, it just wins lol. I just I've seen those perform better than standard engage sometimes.
Yeah, Lucian and Mumu also locked in, so we're very Worlds meta-esque, at least from the side of IKB, MF banned, Seraphine banned, so opting for the Yuumi and a Mumu. Mumu, I guess, not necessarily. Oh, never mind. Is necessarily jungle. So. Yeah,
100% jungle, which is totally fine. We have seen a bit of a hit to Amumu, not at Worlds, but in this most recent patch, so its support prowess has fallen off slightly, and I love that. Tree. Time for tree, in fact.
Yeah, so Ivern returning to the Summoner's Rift, and this is shaping up to be an interesting comp. You have, you've got the Enchanter, you got the Shielder, you've got the Engage, and you've got an AD carry on both sides, so.
What we don't have is Barbarians literally too mad to die. And no androgynous Yordles. So, I'm really liking the second round of bans.
Yeah, no Ken and Chu this game. That was the T1 thing, right? It was Ken and Chu. I don't remember.
I believe so. I mean, watching Nagari play Kennen in the most recent game was an experience, to be sure. I think he's the only one to hit level 18 that game before it ended, or something like that. Man basically couldn't die.
Yeah. Yasuo also not going to be seen this game. That feels... I mean... Assuming it's a respect ban, it's kind of interesting. There's no knockups yet from IKB, so it's not like they have the big Yasuo synergy comp already built.
No, in fact, a lot of this comp doesn't do particularly well for Yasuo. You've got you're leaning pretty hard into AD already with your like primary damage dealer being Lucian. Amumu jungle typically does not lean heavily into magic damage, and Yumi's not bad, honestly. Yumi does more damage than people give her credit for.
Yeah, especially with the Luden's like meta build right now. And we got an Ardinals 29 on the Rift. You like to see that?
I do like to see that. I am starting to get slightly worried about the damage coming out from Return to the Middle Sticks. Gnar isn't. I mean, he's not bad. He's just not the highest damage top you can pick.
Yeah, it's kind of hard though. You have to blind one of your solo lanes, and Gnar feels like about as safe a blind pick is left for cards and winged. So.
Yeah, especially if you're looking for something that isn't like a full tank. You like your front line has already kind of been decided if you're Return to the Middle Sticks here.
Yep. Well, we get the other brother, Yone, locked in for IKB, and now to round out their comp, presumably there should be a top laner. Lilia would make a little bit of sense. You get that magic damage. Doesn't do terribly in Dinar, and yeah, I guess. I'm assuming that that's going to be Lilia top. That makes the most
I think that's pretty safe, yeah. And you know, you've got a direction that you have to pick here if you're Rodham, and you've only got about 8 seconds to do it. So
yeah, need probably big magic damage, mage.
Almost assuredly, that's actually exactly what I was hoping for. Maybe not in a word that champion, but you know, magic damage covers an AoE. Doesn't necessarily blow up on sight, preferably into the Yone lane with an Amumu. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, that feels like a pretty good pick. Gives them a little bit more AoE to go with the Rel and Gnar initiation. You can throw the red carpet down on top of all of that. Feels like a pretty good combo. You can see a team fight that our team is going to win. For IKB though, you know, the big initiation with Amumu, the follow-up with Yumi, you have a lot of AoE lockdown just with those two champions, and the rest of it is just kind of DPS back behind it. So, you know, both big kind of team fight comps, but require a little bit of setup to work. So we're not going to see that big, I think, you know, handshake 5v5. It's going to be a little bit more tit for tat, a little poking out, trying to find the perfect flanks and angles. Should be a really interesting game, all things considered. A little bit lower damage than some of the comps that we're used to seeing right now, though.
Yeah, and I like this this analysis point that you brought up, where it's not a one side gets a straight up 5v5 win almost by default. So we're going to see a lot of it come down to execution and vision setup, and usually that leads to, in my opinion, a more interesting game to analyze. Maybe not necessarily a more interesting game to watch. It depends on what you want out of your League of Legends viewing experience.
Yeah. Everybody's ready to up. I don't know what exactly we're waiting for.
Ooh, are we getting a prediction? We should get a prediction.
We will.
I love predictions. They give me money.
Wait, he literally said R. Okay, Wings trolling.
Mm-hmm. Most assuredly, but we do a little bit of trolling here.
Maybe he can't see.
Didn't see an hour for. Yep, there it is.
Well,
all right, cool.
All right, yeah, Wing doing a little bit of trolling. Oh no, I didn't. Okay, the immediate dodge out of the client wasn't something I predicted. I also didn't shrink the IKB logo on this particular panel. So.
Yes. Good memes, KEKW. Tournament draft, please. Waiting on tournament draft. So that's pretty solid. I think on stream it looks fine, but that's just me.
Oh no, the next panel where we would be in client is bad.
Oh,
it's
okay,
gigantic,
gotcha.
So I'm setting that up, but also we had to switch lobbies for some reason.
Blind pick.
Oh, okay. Winged is trolling all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Not to call any particular person out, but he already can't read and can't set up the draft correctly. So hopefully he plays a little bit better than his performance so far.
Honestly, I'm just impressed at how quickly we got lined up as 10 plus 2 spectators into the next draft. Like that just started.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
We take those. You feeling any prediction? I always ask Kaito as cover for me actually deciding what we're gonna predict. But maybe you have better ideas than him.
Needs to be something like tangible that we have a number on. So, most of the ones that I'm coming up with are really cut and dry and easy to answer. So, yeah, give me a second. We could pick one for the end of the game. Higher damage output, Tristana or Rumble.
Okay, yeah, that actually sounds pretty good.
Just because Rumble's one of those mids whose pretty much full identity is I do damage because I exist. So, you know, you could see it outpacing a carry.
Yeah, we'll take those. Alright, so tell me, who's going to have more damage to champions in game number 1? Wing Nation on Rumble or Boar on Tristana? Which Yordle? They're like canon. I guess Rumble has a crush on Tristana that's not reciprocated. That's the big lore there.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, his mech's name is Tristy, right? I think that's it. I could be just making this up. Might just be.
No, I'm also pretty sure that's canon, honestly. I'd have to predict with custom amount.
I don't think I have
There we go.
any points left with which to predict.
Okay, nice. 1337 points predict. As per usual.
It's a solid number of points. Yeah, I currently have 0, so I must have lost a prediction. And I don't actually watch the stream on my phone, weirdly enough.
Well, when I get there, the goal is to move on from predicting 1337 into predicting 69420. And then hopefully I just never lose a prediction because then it'll take so long to get back to that.
Yeah, that's a couple of points. I don't know that anybody quite has that amount even yet. Maybe Kaito does. He's very close, I think. But I think he's the person with the most stream points. I don't know. There's not like a leaderboard. You'd think there'd be a leaderboard somewhere where I could see like relatively how many games I might have to cast at some point. But
right.
No.
Hey, Lipo, can we get a leaderboard for channel points? Inside humor, money.
Yeah.
I can go through the actual request thread. I figured I'd skip the line.
Do we even have the Mr. Twitch admin here tonight? Maybe we don't. It's good because you'd have to hide all the games.
Yeah, no, that's
So win some, you lose some.
I'm currently reconsidering calling on more moderation.
Alright, well, we got 2.5 minutes left. Get in your votes on that prediction. Only about 3,000 channel points up for grabs right now. I'd like to see some more in there if you have an opinion on Wing versus Boar on more damage in game number 1. But you know, focusing a little bit back, Imperial Knights come in having won a playoff series already, a best of 3. This is the first best of 5 though for both teams. So, or no, never mind. This I'm actually trolling because all 16 teams were in playoffs. Okay, so both teams have won a best of 3, right?
Yep.
Our team won a really nonsense 2-1 that we cast most of last week.
I do remember that.
Theoretically, should be a significantly higher seeded team coming in at 5-1 total compared to the 3-3 for Imperial Knights Blue. But that was a shaky playoff series last week for Crowstorm. So we'll see. This is always a marathon playing a best of 5, but like we saw, usually these early rounds tilt super hard one direction and they don't bounce back the other way. Every gold series last night was a 3-0, and that's pretty par for the course for a lot of like gold and plat playoff series, especially the first couple of rounds.
Yeah, no, it's the thing is, you can talk about it a lot, but until you just straight up have the experience, like several times, I still get to the point where I have trouble keeping mental in Game 3, Game 4, best of 5 series. And I've been playing comp for like 4 or 5 years now. Not to say that I play it at any high level, but it gets to a point where League of Legends is secondary to how well you can keep your head in check playing League of Legends.
Yeah, I've only played a couple of best of 5s, but by the end of it, you almost don't care if you win or lose. You just want it to be over, and you hit that point. And like that can happen in it. Like you're up 2-0 and you have to play another game when you're used to playing best of 3s, and even that extra game just feels like a slog. Like it's terrible. You're stuck in the mud. Your mechanics start dragging. It can be a rough time to really bounce back, and we'll see what both of these teams are made of tonight. We'll see if we have to go the distance. They even delayed it an hour, so we'll be up an hour later potentially.
I remember our best of 5 in Oklahoma, where we only went to 4 games, but at the end of our 63-minute victory, I was just tired, man. Like I didn't have any emotions about the series. I just was exhausted.
Yeah, it's a bit of a thing to play a full best of 5, to play 2 in one day even. That was a bit of a marathon day, just a tiny bit. But we'll get into game here. Game number 1 between Imperial Knights Blue and Rodham Crowstorm. Assuming that we spawn in at some point. Usually we do.
Typically that happens. And I'm pretty confident that I'm going to get the spectator bug that's going to force me to go back to 0. So if you want to give us a countdown when you're loaded in, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Probably a good call.
Okay, we made it. I don't have a spectator bug yet. Actually, everybody's moving pretty normally. Are you paused?
Yeah,
no. Okay.
No, noticeably, I actually also have no spectator issues.
All right.
So.
Actually, Rumble doesn't have a flame. I don't know if that's... We might have to. We'll keep an eye on this. On the blue side of the rift, wearing the blue health bars are Imperial Knights Blue. Very synergistic. Vision of Empire in the top lane playing Lilia and Dorwee. Dorwee! There's 3 E's, so you have to say it like that, I'm pretty sure. That sounds right.
Legally, I believe so, yes.
He's playing a Mumu in the jungle. Sraisai? I hope that's right. I apologize if it's not. In the mid lane on Yone, Haru, and Saber is Waifu in the bottom lane playing the Lucian and Yumi combo.
And over on the red side of the rift, sporting the red health bars, is going to be Return of the Middlesticks Crowstorm. We've got Nardinals 29 up in the top lane. That's just more efficient. Blazing Cake in the jungle on Ivern, Wing Nation in the mid lane on Rumble, and Boar and Garethar on Tristana Rel bot lane.
Yeah, already some pings going on to Wing Nation's Ignite. He's, I guess, looking for some kills in mid lane against Sraisai, or feels like it's necessary in order to stay alive in that lane to be able to have that kill threat. kind of an interesting choice. And already at level 1, just going to go ahead and burn him down for about, quarter of his health.
Yeah, this is the melee into rumble experience, and it actually should remain this way for most of the lane.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting that he started that, and already Garithar and Boar looking for the engage onto Haru Haru. They'll get a pretty good chunk on him at level 1.
Yeah, that's totally legal. Um, so interestingly enough, Ivern, being Ivern, lets you do stuff like this. Blazing Cake has just taken Amumu's blue buff off the start, none of his own buffs, naturally, uh, and also gives his bot lane the opportunity to bush cheese in lane.
Ooh, the level 2 gank, though, from Dorwi in the mid lane. He's ignited, burning down to Wing Nation. The flash, didn't quite take him over the wall. The flash forward from Blazing Cake, and he can't quite hit the root collars. So a lot of summoners burned around the mid lane, but Dorwi is able to escape.
Yeah, maybe just some pre-best of 5 jitters, because usually you don't typically see Winged miss those into walls like that. But I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. You blow sums for sums, but you also force Amumu off of what is likely the next crab opportunity. Actually, he's gonna have smite up again here in a second. He's not that low.
Yeah, the big worry, though, is that Srysai did not have to blow his flash, has a
Yep.
CS lead already, and has the level advantage, so might be a little scary time for Winged coming up in the next minute or two, but we'll see how he's able to navigate that. For now, just going to quietly be shoved in, but already Blazing Cake headed back toward the mid lane, going to look for the root collar onto Srysai. Throws out the bush, some ranged autos, gets the little shield onto Winged. Srysai has to come back eventually. There it is, and he's got a flash immediately away from the root collar.
Yeah, I really like this from Blazing Cake. He's being very proactive on Ivern early, which is encouraging when you pick something as non-standard as Ivern is at the moment.
Kind of unlucky for Dorwi. He goes for the counter invade and is going to find only some Krugs, which is at least a camp to steal, but chose the only camp that Blazing Cake had actually cleared at this point, which is a little bit unlucky. Now they're setting up in the bottom lane to shove in from Haru Haru, crash down from Garithar. They're going to be able to root up the Lucian. Boar has to jump away, but Cake is here getting that red buff. Otto is just stacking up, and it's first blood for Cake. Boar is back in, looking for Saber. The teleport in from Cardinals, and he'll take a kill in the bottom lane as well for his trouble. 2-0 for Crowstorm as they're on the board first.
That's actually really nice for Cardinals to be able to use TP like that to pick up and extend that gold opportunity a little bit more. You get an assist onto 3 other members, plus he gets a free kill and gets to walk back into lane with Mercs.
Yeah, Dorwi here in mid. Good dodges so far by Wing, but he does get hit by the first bandage toss. And unfortunately for Srysai, has to snap back on his soul. So Winged escapes relatively unscathed from that gank, and everything's going kind of according to plan so far for ROTM. Minus the double failed flash into the wall.
Yeah, outside of that hiccup, it's sort of going as expected. It's actually a little bit unfortunate there for Srysai and Dorwi. I don't think you need to pop Yone's E that early if you know that your opposing laner doesn't have flash. Like, yes, you want to get closer, but if you just hit one minion, walk up, and get another Q, you get the dash. So
Yeah, we do have to keep an eye on. There's a big CS lead that's opened up in mid lane right now for Srysai. He's got 21 CS lead as Winged finally goes back and starts to hit some of these minions, but already has the Berserker Greaves, has a couple of extra little items, and that could come into play. And now Vision of Empire has an interesting decision. Does he want to teleport in to catch this wave, or does he want to save it and try to make a play bottom? Looks like he's going to hold on to it and opt to try to go for a team play a little bit later on.
yeah, I kind of respect that decision. If it was 2 full waves stacked, it'd be a little bit different. You can't give up on that much, but in this instance, oh, did he? Oh, I don't think he did. That was a really nice bowling ball to try and pick up that cannon, but he actually doesn't lose too much here.
Yeah, a little invade coming out from Cake and Cardinals as they sweep through. They're going to spot Dorwi out. Not going to be able to take this blue buff as Dorwi already hanging around. That's going to spawn here in a couple of seconds. And so far, repelling the Vision, our IKB in that bottom side, or in the top side, excuse me. Stryside getting aggressive, gonna snap back. They drop the red carpet on top of the Soul, and the ult coming out, but there's the Ignite from Wing Nation for the kill. That was really nicely played by the Rumble.
Yeah, it was. And I mean, once you commit like that and you don't actually burn the ult and try to go for the kill on Rumble, especially when the Rumble has an Ignite, you can't expect to actually live there.
Yeah, so nicely timed, well placed, burning him as he snaps back to the Soul, and ROTM picks up their third kill of the game. Only about a 1,000 gold lead thus far, which is maybe a little bit worrying. Doorwee gonna walk into bottom lane. Oh, did he get spotted on that ward? There weren't any pings to tell us for certain, but hanging around. Looks like Blazing Cake might be here for a counter gank. But both teams kind of have their eye on this dragon, and now with no Rumble ult available, no Yone ult either, might be a time for either side to try to make a play.
I think it would actually be smart in
Oh,
Return to Middlesix's case to let this one go. You don't have the TP answer from top lane, and you're also missing one out of mid.
oh, the sleep coming out from Vision of Empire, gonna get the bonk into the queue, and Cardinals will, well, he doesn't have to burn down, he's gonna get flash autoed, but a solo kill for Vision of Empire up in the top lane on the Lilia, and that's going to be kind of scary as somebody to get going. It means that they'll have to really pay attention to the magic damage coming out of that champion.
Most definitely, and you know, this trading pattern is in mid is sort of proceeding as expected, but that CS lead has been pretty well maintained by Sricey. Sricey, I'm gonna, yeah.
I've gone with Sricey. I don't know if that's right.
That's fair. I'll stick with that then, for the sake of consistency.
If there's anybody out there
Garethar's
who is upset at my pronunciation of any of these names, let me know, because I'll fix it. But yeah.
The gold lead you mentioned does bring up an interesting point. Who do you have for the late game? I actually, it's difficult for me to tell who has a scaling advantage here.
In general, I tend to favor the team with Yuumi.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because that champion is just a monster. Sricey has to use his flash immediately on cooldown to go back. Now coming back in with the ult is going to pick up Garethar. A little overextension underneath the tower. And IKB actually comes away with a gold lead, despite being down one kill thus far. But ROTM might be looking at the dragon. Boar in a little bit of trouble, flashes away. The culling coming through. One last auto, but it's not quite enough. And Saber gets the kill with the auto attack. The Yuumi passive, just enough damage. But now has to run as Wing Nation closes in, trying to burn down anybody that he can. But the shield coming out. The Yuumi is so disgusting. And now Sricey, along with Vision of Empire, closing in on Blazing Cake. They'll finish him off underneath the tower. And it's a double kill for the Yone.
Yeah, man.
Garethar's walking back in. I don't think that he really wants to be here. This could be a redive attempt for IKB, but if they take too long, Boar will be back. They're gonna
I think they're gonna leave it.
Meanwhile, Doorwee is gonna catch the wave up in the top lane and try to get Cardinals off of this tower.
I think Return of the Middlesticks is suffering from a little bit of pot committed fallacy here. They keep trying to get something back because they recognize a potential overextension instead of just playing it safe and cutting their losses. You can see it with Boar trying to get the last auto down onto Haru, and then even Wayne going for the flash in, wasn't tracking barrier cooldown, among a couple of other things. I mean, it's still a pretty low percentage play, all things considered.
Yeah, so it's Sricey, by the way, we have learned in
nice.
the chat.
Cool.
Winged, very low. Kind of trying to bait walking back in with Blazing Cake in his back pocket, but Sricey not going to go ahead and pull the trigger on any further aggression, and instead forces Winged back to base again, and he'll start to extend that CS lead a little bit more. Already the Zeal plus Vamp Scepters, a little bit of a garage sale build from him, but he's getting all of the stats that he wants.
And you can forgive the garage sale for the Yone, especially when the Zeal is concerned, if it's like pre-15 minutes. You usually want to at least have a completed item around the 15-16 minute mark if you're going to make this many pit stops, but I mean, Yone at 90 CS, I don't think he's super worried about his gold total right now.
crash down from Garithar, pops the Magnet Storm, but can't quite get onto Haru Haru. And that means that the Lucian Yumi get out completely unscathed. And now Srisai looking for Winged, looking for the solo kill, hits the ultimate, has a lot of damage. The snapback isn't quite enough as the shield's there from Winged. But again, just applying a lot of pressure, and Wing's going to have to go back to base again. Maybe sticking around just to drop his ult on the minion wave so he can farm anything. But has to be very careful as in comes Shelly as well. So IKB took a couple of hits early on, but they're starting to blow this game wide open.
Yeah, I do like this choice from Rodham to grab the mountain before they can really rotate in from the pressure off of Rift Herald. So they will get that and potentially stall this out a little bit, because that's something that I think they should really be looking towards. I mean, you've got a Rumble who selected Ignite and then did not end up winning the lane as hard as an Ignite would be hoped for. Now you're bleeding CS because you haven't gotten you don't have a second solo lane TP.
Yeah. Cardinal's even under a little bit of threat in this top lane. Vision of Empire, not the most damage in his back pocket right now. Has the 3 stacks in his Dark Seal plus the Seeker's Arm Guard and the Sork Shoes. So probably not in solo kill territory right now from Cardinals, but you know, he's ahead of schedule as well with that kill earlier, evening up the kill in the bottom lane for Cardinals, and it just feels like IKB is getting to a very comfortable position in this game. And here in the next couple of minutes, we should start to see them really make some plays.
Yeah, they're definitely reaching the mid game experience that they're hoping for. Notably, I have had one experience playing against Lilia top, and I think I have finally dethroned Yasuo and Yone as the pinnacle of boots first is the best early power spike on this champion. Lilia with Sork Shoes is probably just slightly better.
Yeah, Srisai
Ooh.
almost finished off Winged there. Just
What is my directed camera not giving
no,
me
the
that?
chickens? Okay. That was a weird little snapback, but I guess we're fine. Boar very low underneath the tower. The Magnet's from pulling in Haru Haru, trying to keep him safe from the Yumi. The heal is just enough to keep him alive from the explosive shot, and Haru Haru will survive the attempt there from Garithar and Boar. Garithar still on top of a ward. They could come in, just a Prowling Projectile probably finishes off Garithar, but looks like he'll get back to base safely. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Srisai has got enough pressure. He's able just to take that first tower of the game. And it's a 3,000 gold lead right now for IKB.
Yeah, and you can see Boar walking up expecting to get some tower damage after how low they dropped Haru Haru, only to walk up and find Lucian at half HP, the full Yumi experience. And yeah, this gold lead is gonna you know, it's a good thing that Rodham got that mountain drag, because I don't think they're really gonna be keen to fight the next
Oh no,
two,
Boar?
maybe.
Okay.
Not a chance. Thankfully, because you know, we've seen that happen even on international stages. It's just you miscalculate very slightly against a camp like Gromp or Raptors and straight up die.
Yeah, that damage coming through from Vision of Empire is no joke. There's the watch out. Eep into the blooming blow.
Booming blows,
Yeah.
I think.
And
Hold on.
yeah, Vision of Empire
Yes.
with another solo kill up in the top lane. And
Yep.
this counter pick going pretty well for Imperial Knights.
Yeah, and that is a slight concern for Return to the Middle Sticks. They did get the counter pick in a different solo lane that is actually going slightly better for IKB than the top one is. Although it is arguable. Yone does have a death to his name.
Yeah, I don't think that either solo laner for IKB will be particularly upset about the way the game has gone so far, though. 6-3 in kills in favor of them. They're going to get a couple of towers here, so the gold just really starting to stack up for Imperial Knights, and it feels like ROTM need to make a play with some of these big mid-game ultimates that we highlighted at the Open. You have the Rumble ult. Well, here we're going to see the big engage. Doorwee goes in. Blazing Cake taking up the tower. He's able to get the shield just to stay alive, but in comes the teleport from Srisai. He's ripping through, but gets stunned up. Just not quite enough damage from anybody on ROTM, and nobody dies in that engagement, but the push still kind of favors IKB as they come back. Root Collar dodged out. He's a very fast deer going Mach 6 or something. There's a lot of Machs happening, but Cardinals looking from the side. Doesn't have the Rage Bar stacked up very well at all. Garithar has to go in with the crash down the shields, trying to keep him safe. Looking for the re-engage, but there's just no CC. Boar now gets the little shield sidestepping, but he can't finish. Oh, he does finish off Haru. No, he's still alive. The camera's just betraying me. And IKB find 2 kills in the mid lane.
Yeah, the extended 2-for-1, they dropped Doorwee, but then once again, Return of the Middle Sticks spends the barn trying to get something back. And doesn't quite get all the way there. So they are gonna lose this Infernal, but thankfully they don't actually lose that much else. A little bit of their jungle on the way out.
I just realized I hadn't zoomed out all game, which is probably why it's been snapping so ridiculously in these fights. So sorry about that. But yeah, IKB pretty significantly in control. The only thing that wasn't fully in their control was the dragon count, and now it's 1-1 in that count as well. I just noticed I got a PM. That's kind of weird. I thought that there were, well, I guess it doesn't. It does make sense that you can get PMs while you're spectating a game. All right, well. Anyway.
Oh, definitely. What is the keyboard command to zoom out in Spectator? I always forget it.
It is Control-Shift-Z and then the scroll wheel.
Interesting. Wow, I love this. This is so much easier to cast from.
Yeah, if you go too far out, though, it just eats all of your memory and then you die. But
interesting.
Yeah,
will,
that's an experience. But
try to avoid dying.
Garithar are gonna pull in Vision of Empire, but he's got the flash just to get a little bit out to safety. Haru just standing his ground. Daisy just trying to beat on him. Now the engage coming in from the side. Doorwee only hitting the one-man curse of the Sad Mummy, but it's enough to finish off Garithar. And Doorwee continues on with the engage, looking for the bandage toss. Nardinals trying to get that rage bar stacked up. Does he have a big ult in him? No, he's playing the so defensively. Cake takes another bowling ball to the face. He's burning down. Vision of Empire sees him going in for the W, not quite able to get that, but he's got the Q, he's got the speed, and Cake is going to fall. Vision of Empire is on a rampage. 4-0-3 on the Lilia.
Yeah, this Lilia is proving to be such a problem in these fights. Almost all of the damage in that last bout coming from Vision of Empires, just jumping around, playing the edge of the Q range. It's like watching old Darius. Except if Darius was permanently ghosted.
Yeah. It's a big lead now for IKB. If you're ROTM right now, are you focusing on game 2? Do you feel like there's a way that they climb back in it here?
I think when you're looking at across their comp, there's always a way back into this game with Gnar and Rumble ults over the top. You add a Rel to the mix, and you can just blow up a team fight. There isn't, like, outside of the Amumu, who is building the full tank, there aren't that many targets that you can't 100-0 with some decent CC. Not with the damage output that they have, but they really need to stop bleeding gold into these pockets of IKB, or their mid game comp is just gonna tear through the rest of it.
Yeah, 2 items completed now, and Vision of Empire has the completed Zanya's along with his Leandries, and this deer is a problem. And it doesn't feel like there's a super easy solution at the moment for ROTM. They still need to get a couple more items and, you know, kind of pray for that one.
There is a big difference when you do upgrade to the Mejai's, but Darkseal, when fully stacked, is one of the most gold efficient items in the entire game. You're currently getting like a grand total of 55 AP off of this item that cost you starting gold. it gets pretty ridiculous.
Yes, Risai getting a good split push in on the top side, and now Vision of Empires set up on the bottom side. It's kind of a 1-3-1, but without the 3 being there, you know?
Yeah. Which makes it not really a 1-3-1 at all. I just don't think like there's anything that Return to Middlesticks can actively do about either of these solo laners right now.
Yeah. So
Fortunately, they are... sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, if you're IKB, are you looking for a play right now, or are you just happy with the way things are going? Haru is going to get engaged on. He was going a little bit aggressive trying to find Boar. Instead, he finds a lot of CC, but they can't quite finish him off. Garithar is trying to do that critical amount of damage, but he can't. Srisai comes in. He's on a rampage as he's found a kill. Dives forward, gets the double kill as well. Srisai is still burning, but the Yuumi is keeping everybody topped off. The sleep comes through onto Cardinals. He's got his rage bar filled now, but I don't think he's in any position to really turn this. Sheila going to get dropped by Dorwi in the mid lane, and again, it's 3 kills for IKB for nothing in return.
The number of times Lucian has lived with sub 50 HP has got to be getting to Return of the Middlesticks at this point. I'm frustrated watching, and I'm a semi bipartisan caster, not particularly, but I try to keep it that way for the stream. But at a certain point, you have to accept that it's frustrating that Lucian just is not dropping the way you would expect him to when he gets hit by all of this nonsense.
Yeah, the Yuumi healing is disgusting, and that cat is a problem, as we've seen, you know, throughout Worlds now. Did go for the Moonstone Renewer build, which is a little bit interesting. I'm pretty sure every Worlds game I've seen has gone for the Ludens first, but...
I think it's one of those things like with old Soraka where, mathematically speaking, the more AP you build is just better than the percentage increased healing. There was a couple of several patches, about half a season, where full AP Soraka just did more healing than all of the healing buff items. So it could be one of those scenarios. Regardless, though, they're so far ahead at this point that the heals coming out from Yuumi are a problem no matter what she's building.
Yeah. So if you had to remove a champion from the game, who is it and why is it Yuumi? Wait, she just stole the blue buff! Oh, I guess that was intentional, probably. But...
Actually, yeah, likely, because the only reason you ever have to pop off as Yuumi, if you're you know, like a really, really low mechanics Yuumi player and you don't want to give your team shields, is to auto for mana. So now you don't have to. Congratulations, your AFK experience can be even more AFK.
Yeah, and Vision of Empire already had one as they'd stolen away ROTMs. Srisai going in for the 1v3 experience and, you know, can just snap right back out. They're going to go ahead and use the last chapter? Final chapter. Final chapter.
Final chapter.
Not the lost chapter. That one's different. Anyway.
No, that's what he should have built.
True. Yeah. Haru getting caught again, but that doesn't matter because there's a Yuumi on his team. This has turned into a kind of anti-Yuumi cast. I actually don't mind the champion as much as other people, but that's a big curse of the Sad Mummy. Dorwi looking for the engage, and Haru on a killing spree. The Bandage Toss lands onto Winged underneath the tower, and that looks like it'll be all for now. Maybe Srisai can say something different. Ultimate not quite going to connect, but he will finish off Boar. Just autos him underneath the tower. He'll snap back, get the Yuumi heals, and this looks like it's going to cruise to it. Pretty easy Game 1 victory for IKB. There were some good plays by RTM early on, but it fell apart very quickly in that early game. Well,
yeah,
maybe even a couple more kills. They're going to get Cardinals here on the doorstep as well as Winged. It's just Cake left alive to try to defend, and Ivern doesn't actually do damage. It's more of a semblance of damage, the hint of damage. It's like, oh, what is that?
It's like how LaCroix is a hint of flavor.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I couldn't think of LaCroix for some reason.
You've got flavors like hint of lime, stored in a truck next to bananas, and TV static, but it's slightly strawberry. My personal favorite.
Yeah. 17-4, just a dominating game number 1 from IKB. We'll see if RTM can bounce back, but a 1-0 series deficit, they've got a little bit of a hill to climb, just like last week. We'll see if they can do it. But for now, we'll be back in just a couple minutes with game number 2. And I didn't set up the transition stream, or the transition slide, so hold on. Now I've set it up. There's a transition. Boom, seamless. Okay. Actually, not seamless, because I want to show you the damage to champions, because that's an important thing to us this game. And as we look in the client, we can see that the damage to champions is 11,552 for Winged Nation and 9,516 for the Tristana for Boar. So Winged is going to win the bet, which is the most important thing that happened. And now you can see that transition screen again. Cool. Here's some music. Oh, I need to actually cash in the prediction. That might be important as well.
Yeah, that's solid. Please take my points away from me. I did not need them.
Wait, Wing sent that message that appeared... It appeared at like 15 minutes into the game, but he sent it at 6:51. So like, that
nice.
wasn't during the game at all.
Huge.
Right, just leaking my DMs out there.
Big.
Oh, I have an invite.
Oh, I have an invite. Yay.
Alright, I'm gonna run to the bathroom really quick.
Mods are away from keyboard. Quick, talk about blue side superiority at Worlds.
we're still waiting on game 2. We have some draft links, but neither team's readied up just yet. Oh, that was a sub-jungle as well for IKB, so now they're getting their main jungler back. That has to be a little bit worrying for the boys, but they're taking blue for game number 2, so no side change.
Yeah, and you have to wonder if they're considering it being worth banning out the Yuumi blue side, since they've already shown that they're willing to first pick it there.
Yeah, that feels like a necessity given what happened in the last game, but we'll see what the boys want to do. For now, we're still waiting. It looks like their regular starting jungler isn't here yet, so still waiting on them to enter the lobby. Kind of weird. I think they asked to delay so that they could play with him, and then he's still late. Feels a little weird, but
Unlucky.
maybe they didn't want to play too. Like, I would understand. Like, I wouldn't start a best of 5 at 8. That would be actually insane. But
Oh yeah, no.
7's
There's no
already
way.
pushing it. IMO. Like, I'm glad I'm on a more regular schedule than I was, because now I don't have to travel an hour to work. Which, you know, shout out to lower commutes. It's actually kind of life-changing, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh man, I couldn't imagine commuting an hour. I used to have like a 40-minute commute was the highest I ever did, I think.
That's enough. That's pretty insane.
It felt pretty enough, I'm not gonna lie.
No, so it was weird. I was thinking, like, I've got a 15-minute commute right now. It's actually the shortest commute I've ever had. Like, even for high school, I had to commute about a half hour to high school. Because I went to the school that my mom taught at, and not where we lived, necessarily. So.
Got it. I mean, yeah, no, that makes sense.
I guess I've just never had a low amount of driving, really. Other than, I guess, when I lived in the dorms in college, I just kind of rolled out of bed and went to class. But, like, all of my jobs have been pretty significant distances. I guess Best Buy was like 20 minutes. It wasn't that much farther. But anyway. That's a very adult problem to have. Sorry, bringing the 31 years of age into the chat here.
We are confused. Where are we at? Oh, there we go. I think we have all 5 now. Should get draft readied up here in a second. Outside of the Yuumi alteration, or maybe it's not an alteration, we'll have to see if it comes through. What else do you want to see from Return of the Middle Sticks?
I'm honestly not too sure. I think I want Cake on something with a little more agency than the Ivern. I liked some of the ideas. Honestly, I don't hate anything that really happened. They've started up the draft, so we'll flip over to that. But it felt almost like the big turning point of that game was like, you know, level 3 when Winged and Cake weren't able to secure that kill on the Yone. It feels like if they get that one, that mid lane looks completely different and you don't have that pressure from the Yone all of a sudden. I don't know if that was as big as it feels to me, but you know, that little 2v2 play goes just a little bit differently. I think we have an entirely different looking game number 1. Instead, we got kind of a quick snowball stomp from IKB.
Yeah, it did feel like they stayed on the back foot after being put on the back foot really early. I don't think I ever saw Rodham really bring a toehold back into the game. So, you know, credit to IKB for closing the way that they did. But yeah, that's what high level League of Legends looks like. You don't get afforded that many mistakes. So.
All right, so the Lucian first pick, probably not a flex anymore. Probably almost certainly AD carry, so you can use his passive, right? And then Whip and Enchanter are like the 2 criteria notably, for Lucian right now.
Yeah, notably that Enchanter will not be the cat, because we did see that banned away 3rd. and that's a new-ish champion. I don't dislike it at all. So we are committing to like low-range ADCs, but that can be fun.
Yeah, so Kai'Sa for 4 is one of his more played champions, so you know, pretty comfortable on the Tristana. The Kai'Sa probably right up there. And then the Hecarim, presumably for Cake, it got buffed this last patch, so kind of excited to see that one. It's been creeping in. It got banned, I believe, all of the Gold Series last night. And there's the Nami that we kind of expected with Lucia and a Seraphine. All right, well, you know, both of those champions combined have the heal and shielding of the Yuumi, so
yeah,
it's basically just the same comp rank.
I mean, to an extent, you're kind of right, but also I think it's worth noting that the Seraphine did get banned away last time, so they're swapping the Yuumi for Seraphine, which sort of doesn't feel like that much of a swap. Those are pretty similar champions. You would assume that IKB's equally happy with both. Maybe not functionally the same, but it's as close as you're gonna get, really.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting. So that's almost certainly mid lane Seraphine because we already have the Nami, right? So
sure.
Srisai played Yone last game. There's a bit of a difference between the Yone and the Seraphine in terms of playstyle.
Yeah, it is a pretty major adaptation. You're not looking to do almost any of the same things in the game. And there is, interestingly enough, the Nautilus that I was kind of hoping would be the answer to Yuumi, but if you're looking to pick off the fish, there aren't that many better champions.
Yeah, I mean, why not have a hook for a fish? Makes sense to me. No more Udyr Gaming this game. It's a little unfortunate. Feels like a weird ban, but...
Yeah, feels interesting. I haven't seen Udyr since his, like, early dominance after the item rework.
Okay, so the takeaway Lilia for Lilinol's 29, that one doesn't really work.
I appreciate the attempt, though.
Yeah. So what's IKB's answer? Do they throw down the boar? Or the board. Wow. The Gnar, excuse me.
I feel like that would be interesting since we saw how one-sided that matchup was last time. That makes a little bit more sense, but it could also just be jungle.
Yeah.
I think it's more than likely jungle, actually.
Yeah, I just like the mental warfare. If you beat somebody really hard in one side of the matchup, and then they take it away the next game, you play the other side of that matchup and beat them again. Like, what can they do at that point, right?
No, there isn't actually any better feeling as a top laner. I got to have that experience once with Set and Mordekaiser, and it was one.
So Yone is interesting. Yone is probably a good matchup into Lilia, but does that make you think a little bit about like Seraphine Nami bottom lane with a Lucian top?
Maybe a
or
little
Lucian
bit
mid and a Yone top. Like Srisai could definitely just have this Yone. And if you do that, what does your comp look like at that point?
I mean, also at a certain point, like it's not standard in any way, but how poorly do you think Seraphine top into Lilia actually goes? I'm not saying for any particular reason that's the way it goes.
Yeah,
but...
I think once you get wave clear, that would be okay. But I think early on would suck. So.
Likely it would. We do see Xerath as the answer for winged. He was hovering the Yasuo, which I appreciated as a nod, but no, I think that's fits a little bit more with the somewhat standardized team comp Rodham is running this time around.
Oh, I didn't actually change. I changed the wording underneath everything, but I didn't actually change the scoreboard to the same one. Oops. Well, I've caught it. I'm aware of it now, and I can make this change. Whoa, and then I fucked it up. Okay, there we go. Neat. Alright, so we get to watch this again. You feeling anything in particular for some bets?
I was just thinking about that.
I'm really... I got you. We'll just do more kills. You want Lucian or Yone? Feels
Ooh.
alright.
That does feel alright. I'm actually leaning towards, wait, let me check something real quick. It is Yone for Vision of Empire, so I'm leaning towards Lucian this time around.
I don't want them to change on me is the only thing.
I don't feel like that would be a thing that happens in a like third-party draft scenario, right?
I mean, I wouldn't say it doesn't happen because I've literally done it to people, but yeah, we're going out on a limb. I guess I'll change this around. It's Yone. Oh, I could just leave it without mentioning which player's playing it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you can actually just lock it how it is.
Okay, there we go. You can take some time to decide if you want to see who's actually playing them, but for game 2, who is going to have more kills? Is it Yone or Lucian? Normally I put the player's name just to make it a little more like, personal, you know? But since we don't necessarily know who's playing those champions, we'll hold off on it this game. Presumably Vision of Empire on Yone and Haru Haru on Lucian.
I think Haru Haru on the
Yone's,
Lucian is like the guarantee.
It feels weird that you take the Yone out of Srisai's hands after he had such a good game last game with it. You have to be very comfortable with the flex to do something like that, right?
Yeah, and of course, for all we know, that could be the reason that IKB is willing to pick it the way that they are. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they kind of blinded Yone last game into what ended up being Rumble, but apparently they could have just as easily tossed it into top if they felt like it's just a worse matchup in Anar. So.
Yeah. Oh, you still have 4 minutes. This is a final lock-in. I think they can still trade right now. So.
Functionally in client they can. Notably, the trade window for like LCS and official Worlds Riot matches stops at 20 seconds, I believe.
Yeah, that's correct.
Which I don't think is mirrored in any respect in the Legends rules. In fact, I'm not positive that Legends has a rule on this particular issue.
I believe their rules say if there's no rule for it, default to the LCS rule set, in which case it'd be 20, but
Makes
I also
sense.
don't know how you would enforce that, because unless you're watching like we are right now, there wouldn't be like a trail of it, right? If you just did it in a non-stream game.
Yeah, if it happened in a non-streamed match, then yeah, it'd be almost impossible to enforce.
Okay, well, there is the final lock-in. So Vision of Empire is 100% playing Yone, and Haru Haru 100% on the Lucian this game, as we wait out our spectator delay. 1-0 for IKB. Really strong first game. Do you feel like you need to see RO Team get off to a good start to get that momentum back? Or are they comfortable settling into this game, do you think?
I like the fact that I'm seeing a little bit more comfort. I feel like I can't purport to have watched most of Crowstorm's season, but I mean, I'm looking at several what I consider to be staple picks for them, so I would consider them probably not feeling too panicky or down about it right now.
Yeah, feels like a little bit of back to the drawing board for Crowstorm. It's rough. We haven't had a ROTM team win this week on the stream, so that's it's been kind of depressing. Hopefully they can turn it around as a completely unbiased caster. At least give us a series tonight. But IKB looked very dominant in game number 1, and they're playing. I don't want to say it's a similar comp because you have, Srisai is playing Seraphine rather than Yone, but you have the Enchanters plus Lucian. You have the Beef Ball Jungle. Like, there's some hallmarks of a very similar comp from IKB. Notably, I think the big issue is that they don't team fight as strongly as they did the last game. You don't have the big Amumu, Curse of the Sad Mummy, or the Lilia follow-up this game. How do you feel about this comp versus the last one?
I think in terms of the specific comparison to the last comp, this one has a lot more clearly defined fight style and win condition. Like the last one was basically just to hope one of the things that you've drafted starts popping off, preferably the Rumble or the Tristana. This
Oh,
one's
I
pretty
meant
cut and
for.
dry.
Sorry, I meant for IKB. But
Oh, for IKB, I think the style hasn't really changed. Like you're looking at Enchanter supporting Lucian, um, one type of damage in each solo lane. The Yone moving up to top doesn't really concern me that heavily. And then you've got a slightly different look with the I guess not the new, the official jungler coming in and picking up the Trundle. The Trundle feels like it's probably a comfort pick for him because it doesn't counter any one specific thing in Rodham's comp, I don't think.
all right, well, we're loading in for game number 2. Get your final predictions in. Oh, it's already over. Never mind, I'm trolling. Very novel. All right. Already kind of interesting. Saber has the Guardian on Nami rather than summon Aerie. More shields for the
Uh
Lucian.
yeah, I don't dislike it. Um I think especially if you've already got like you've already got the Seraphine who's not doesn't have the Aerie but is sort of taking on the more uh magic damage centric supporting role. You probably don't need it. You can 100% commit to keeping Lucian alive as Nami.
All right, well, we've loaded in game number 2. Imperial Knights blue on the blue side, Return of the Middle Sticks returning on the red side, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we get a reversal of fortunes here. Boar sells his Doran's, well, he doesn't sell it. He refunds his Doran's Blade, buys a Longsword 3, so the matching Longsword 3s on both sides. And RTM stacked up again. We didn't see them do a whole lot with it game number 1. They kind of looked for the counter. Oh, did they get spotted? Oh,
Yeah, they
that's
definitely did.
so cheeky. I didn't. Okay. I really like that
Interesting.
setup. Rather than going for the
Yeah.
5 point, you send your support out to the inner bush. There's no way that they check for that.
No shot they ever check for that, but you have just enough vision range to catch somebody if they're doing the standard invade into try, which means you hug the wall and walk around the giant boulder. So
I really
yeah,
like that.
and they get a really free topside deep ward that there's no way Cardinals or Cake is gonna know about.
Yeah, the traditional we're really scared about that particular invade is you send somebody up and just ward Tribush and then back out. But I actually really like that from the Nami. You can set up the vision in the middle there to see if you're getting cheesed early on in the bush by the Kaisa Nautilus, as well as being able to spot the invade. That's really cool. I really like that for my KB.
Yeah,
We
that was nice.
we need Hulk here, the level 1 expert. He always really likes that stuff. But anyway, RIP Hulk. By RAP, I mean
Agreed.
he's no longer playing League, as far as I know. Haruharu gonna take another chunk. This very much mirrors what happened last game, but we know how that turned out. So hopefully a couple of these things start going a little bit different from the last one. And already the healing is coming back through, and Garthar is gonna take a chunk back, and now Haruharu and Saber are gonna have a little bit of control of that wave. Cardinals walking forward, getting pretty good trades thus far, but nice little dive forward by Vision of Empire, and this actually might be a little bit of trouble for Cardinals, as the Conqueror's stacked, he's got the healing stacked up, he'll hit level 2 if he kills a minion, but he doesn't seem particularly worried about that. Now dashing back through the wave, and I've narrated an entire top lane fight.
I'm very happy about that because it gave me a chance to look over the lanes and think about who actually wins most of these matchups. And for all that thinking I did, I don't have an answer for you. It feels like whoever gets ahead in the top lane is going to like hard win that matchup because both of these champions want to be fighting in lane quite a bit. Mid lane is a snooze, or at least it should be, assuming they don't forget who they're playing.
Oh, That little
Ah,
extra
yikes.
PPA proc onto Garithar is starting to stack up the damage. He went in for the cannon and wound up really paying for that. And Vision of Empire has a pretty good shove in top lane, shove for Srisai in the mid lane. So, Cake might have some options to gank, and it looks like for now it's going to be the bottom lane, which is notably not shoving super hard, despite them having the health advantage down here. He's wasting a lot of time. Ooh, that
Yeah,
hit
he
didn't quite
really
connect
is.
there from
Like,
Garithar.
he should have already been on the crab by this point. He's still there.
Yeah, he's still hanging out, and in comes Cake now, looking for Haru Haru. The flash forward for the auto knocks him back. He's still got the dash away, but the hook does land, and it's first blood for Cake. So the investment pays off, notably, for Blazing Cake. We'll have to see. He's still level 3, and Cypher Soul's level 4, so we might have to give up the second crab, which is at least a little win for IKB, but
Yeah, especially with Rudham's bot lane backing like they are. It's a good thing Cake was the one who got that kill, because with how much time he invested, he's just not actually going to be down in gold. He's going to be about
oh,
even,
he's
all things
sticking around for
considered.
this crab. He's able to get it, but then the pillar is already there. He's trying to turn on to Saber. He doesn't have flash, so he's just got to try to run away from this one. Auto, the flash forward. The healing from Cake isn't enough as the chomp comes through. Cardinals gets the solo kill in the top lane, though, to at least even up the kill count for ROTM, and it's 2-1 in their favor, but because of the way things have gone... Oh, actually, he didn't get the crab at all. That crab went
Nope.
to Cypher Soul.
No, I just noticed that. I looked back at the minimap. I was trying to figure out what happened in top lane because neither of the solo laners used flash, so they just both committed to the fight, and one of them was like, okay, flash doesn't save me here, I guess I'll die. And that was Vision of Empire, I suppose. Also, both of their TPs are down, so we're most likely going to get a 4v4 at the drag if we get a fight at drag at all. Blazing Cake at level 3 is just not interested in the bot side objective, actually. He's just going to be at Krugs. Fair, honestly.
So Cardinals had to have gotten forced out, used his teleport back, got the solo kill, and now he's got to walk all the way back. So he's actually missing a decent little chunk of experience, assuming that he does lose this whole wave into tower.
He's going to lose most of it. Yeah.
Oh, he got some with the bowling ball, but...
A little bit. Yeah.
But, yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that one. Especially, I just realized I was about to call you out on a specific game that you played, where you got a solo kill on top and it wound up ruining your life because of the way the
Yeah,
lure state
no, I
was
remember
managed.
the experience.
Yeah.
That was fun. What a hook.
Yeah, that was a really cheeky little hook there from Garithar. But Cardinals needs to be sure not to let that happen to him up in the top lane, so we'll have to keep an eye on him. Winged gonna back in mid lane, doesn't have any mana. Oh. Garithar has either hit or been just like a pixel off on all of these hooks.
This is really dangerous for Vision of Empire. He's a level down, but it's level 5 to level 6. I actually kind of feel like cards can pop ult and just force him to back there. I don't know why you would hold it, really.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting that Vision of Empire went for the recall in the first place, because he was still full health. Didn't really buy anything on his back. He got boots, it looks like, so... Cards even trying to go in and steal with the bowling ball. That would have been interesting, but we'll have to see. Cake is falling pretty behind in CS and now investing the time into this dragon. They should be able to secure it for what it's worth. I just don't know about the value of the Ocean Dragon right now. But Dragon Stack started. Blazing Cake secures that one, and ROTM, you know, kill lead, dragon lead. Little gold deficit. You take what you can get, though, especially given what happened around this time last game.
Yeah, and this time Boar is not having any of it. His literal first item is Executioners, so... Yeah, I can appreciate that. After having that experience last game, I can totally understand that response.
Yeah, Vision gonna go ahead and push in this top wave. Cardinal's gonna be able to collect it, and... This is kind of a slow game. Gives us a little more time to think strategically, especially about what's going through these junglers' heads right now. Cypher Soul, we've seen get a little bit involved, had the kill on Cake, but he's been kind of turbo farming on the Trundle. Are you looking, I guess, for the big Sunderer power spike, or?
I mean, almost assuredly.
Walk into bottom lane. Boar is just dead in the 2v2, and now Garithar going to get hit by the bubble into the pillar. He's got nowhere to run, and Haru should. Oh. Well, unfortunately, the red buff takes down Garithar, but 2 kills in the bottom lane for IKB, and now 1,000 gold lead for them. Oh, the charm is actually going to stop a lot of the engage from ROTM. The tower shot is just enough damage. Oh my gosh. That was really well played by Srisai to go ahead and avoid that gank, but little unfortunate for ROTM to not get the kill in that situation.
It was really well placed, actually. The charm extended itself through Cardinals and actually knocked Wing out of his ult, so they didn't have anything that could reach side there.
Oh, I'd never heard that skin before. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Cypher Soul getting both of those kills in the bot lane means he's gonna be even closer to Sunderer than he normally would be at this point. He's just like got all of the components and it's only 9 minutes, so maybe the power farming is gonna end up paying off for him. He's been donated so much of the early gold here in resources. Currently by about 400, the richest member on IKB.
Yeah, Vision snapping back with his E, but Cardinals just going to chase him off. Nothing really happening up here. Well, maybe there is something happening up here. We're still continuing just to watch them fight, but Cypher Soul is here. Uses the subjugate. Oh, he can't quite dodge out of the Yone ultimate, and Cardinals should be dead at the end of this. Oh, he's not! The little miscalculation there by Vision, and Cardinals is going to be able to get away. They're going to spot Cake coming in for the counter gank up in the top lane, and no positive benefit for ROTM, but they do keep Cardinals alive. They'll get the Scuttle Crab as well. And there's no ult on the Trundle. I still think that Trundle is probably favored in this fight, especially with Srisai in his back pocket. Damage coming through for Cake, but the ult over the top, the Ready Arcane hits 2, and a third shot doesn't quite connect, but Garithar is there for the hook and the kills. So ROTM does find 2 kills around the mid lane and push the gold back to even.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just the benefit of having Nautilus roaming up the way Garithar is. You get to do stuff like that for free. I think you're right. If Cypher Soul had just stood and fought it, he probably might have won, especially if he chose to expend the challenging smite. But you really can't stand and fight it when you're going to get CC'd up in a second. You've got Zerathult coming in over the top, so...
Yeah, and Cake still has Onslaught of Shadows available. We haven't seen him use that, so he's got an opportunity to make a really impactful gank, but Boar in trouble in the bottom lane. Dodges back in with that Killer Instinct, has to flash away from the Tsunami. In comes Cardinals, though, going to put the Lucian to sleep. They get the Watch Out Eep, and the damage is there from Cardinals. Cypher Soul here trying to make anything happen. Bubble going to make sure that Boar can't get involved in the blast cone out to safety, so the rest of IKB able to evacuate, but Cardinals does turn a kill back on its head, and ROTM slowly clawing their way to a little gold lead this game.
Yeah, apparently the secret to winning this particular 5v5 is Lilia priority. Or so I've been told by Cardinals and Vision of Empire separately in 2 different displays, so...
Yeah, going in, wouldn't have guessed Lilia priority was the big differentiating factor, but here we are. A game and 12 minutes into the series. Oh, dragon spawning. It's an infernal dragon, which means we're going to get a pretty boring soul this game, but that's alright. Has to happen sometimes. Get it out of the way in game 2. How do you feel about
honestly,
the Hextech soul and the chemtrail?
oh man, I mean, we thought Infernal Soul was a game ender, like, it's kinda yikes. I mean, I just like, I think to me it matters a lot more how they affect the rift and less what the actual soul does. Like, souls are souls. They are arguably always better to have than not better to have. Some slightly better on some team comps. Some of the souls that we have now are aggressively better than other souls that we have now. But are we
Srisai in
doing
a little bit of
something?
trouble.
We're doing
Yeah,
something.
the Hecarim ult not able to land as the flash away from Suicide
Or
was
no
there, and now
longer.
the jungler here. The mid jungle 2v2 going a little bit in favor of IKB, but now the rest of the collapse coming through. Oh, Winged with the snipe over the wall does find Suicide and turns the kill back in their favor. The teleport in from Vision of Empire. Blazing Cake able to dodge out, kicks back toward the minion. He's still alive, but now finally finished off by Haru Haru. Garithar from the side hits the hook. The dredge line coming through. The knockups all being chained in, and Boar flies in from the side with the killer instinct. Haru Haru low, gets hit by the Q. The hook back in from Garithar. Bubble not quite enough to disengage, and it's a double kill for Boar and 3 kills in the mid lane for Return of the Middlesticks.
I'm not exactly sure what we're fighting over, but boy howdy was it a fight. They're gonna get, if not the tower, I think they are not committing for the tower, but they do get quite a few plates and some decent gold over the top. It feels really bad to be Yone in this scenario, by the way. Now down 0-2 on your garage sale anti-healing build.
Yeah. Now the tower plate's going to fall off, so Boar and Garithar could threaten that, but Srisai should say no. Has enough wave clear with his Luden's Pulse.
Yeah, and back to my point, now that we're back to a little bit of downtime, I'm gonna have to see exactly how camouflage zones and being able to teleport from one part of the map to the other part of the map, like your Bard, actually plays in League of Legends. So I think that's the more concerning aspect of it to me.
It's like that, is it Split, the map in Valorant, with the portals?
Bind, I
Bind.
believe.
Oh, he was trying
Yeah.
to word, I think. That might be a little unfortunate.
Yeah, that feels kind of bad. I mean, it's gonna priority target the tower on Rodham side that they have the least damage on.
Yeah,
So
Cake even coming in just to try to secure that charge in, but instead he's going to find Cypher Soul, knock him back in. A little bit of dissynergy there as the bowling ball doesn't connect, and that'll be the disengage from Saber coming in with the Tsunami.
yeah, that actually feels really bad because now you don't get to. I don't know how much time he had left on it. Maybe he had to pop it. I wasn't paying attention.
That's
But
also
usually
a
you want to
consideration, yeah.
use. Yeah, usually you want to use Rift for Prio in a lane on a different objective. So if you could have held it to about 45 seconds before drag, you could have
Well,
guaranteed vision.
dive in mid lane. They're going to kick in a Haru Haru. Damage over the top. Winged is going to get the kill with the right of the Arcane. The lockup saver is Waifu as well, but he's still alive. A big ultimate from Srisai is going to turn one back as he does find the Encore and take down Garithar in the process. So 1-for-1. Cardinals has to use the sleep, and he's able to dodge out of the Yone ult, and he should be able to prance away. Lilia prances, right? That's like an accurate verb.
No, I think definitely it's a prance. Like
Okay.
it's not quite flashy enough to be a strut necessarily. So um, and I don't think Gallop really captures like the fawn deer fantasy that they're so clearly trying to pursue with the character.
Yeah, need to make sure you have correct verbs for your champions.
Always, it's
Luckily,
very important.
luckily Trundle is both his name and a verb, so that one's pretty given. Dragon up in 35 seconds, and IKB look like they're going to be the first ones here, but Boar might have found a pick. He just eliminates the Nami from the map, and now gets the rest of the squad here as Garithar going to lock up Cyber Soul in, or Cypher Soul, excuse me. Cardinals with the bowling ball over the wall. Doesn't have the ultimate now that he just used it in top lane, but they'll get the pull back in and they take down the Trundle. Boar on a rampage. 4-1 on the Kaisa. And now Vision of Empire gets the knockup, looking for Blazing Cake, trying to find any damage he can. He'll snap back, Cake very low, but he's able to escape, and Haru Haru falls to the Killer Instinct underneath the tower. And these little scraps, these little skirmishes keep going ROTM's way. It doesn't feel like it's a full team-wide engagement. It just feels like 1v1s and 2v2s keep happening, and ROTM just coming out ahead on them.
And now it sort of feels like it's IKB that's doing what Return of the Middlesticks did from behind last game, where they're trying a little bit too hard to get something back and trying a little bit too hard to equalize and force an equivalent exchange of gold when they don't get to because they're either down items or slightly mispositioned or what have you.
Yeah, so the 4,000 gold lead for Return of the Middle Sticks, you start seeing those mythics come through. Those are, finished up, completed, headed on to the second items for ROTM. And you're still missing the mythic on Vision of Empire. So you can see the gold totals starting to stack up a little bit in favor of ROTM, almost across the board. Impressively, until Yone killed that minion, he was actually exactly even with Cardinals and gold. Like they were ticking up one at the same time, but um, the minion wave kind of ruined that one. So your big leads right now are your mid lane and your 80 carry, Winged and Boar, a little bit stronger than their counterparts right now, and that's where our team's gonna have to look to leverage.
Yeah, and notably now Vision of Empire finally gets his shield bow in, honestly, really late, even if you're pit stopping for executioners at 1830. I did mention when when Suisai was the one playing Yone last game, how garage sale builds on Yone kind of feel bad because you want to get that mythic in before 15, preferably. But Yone with shield bow versus Yone without shield bow is not the same character.
Yeah, our team investing some time into Sheila. They'll be able to take that down right before Baron takes over the pit, and now, maybe just immediately drop that in top lane? Actually, they're not going to need to, as it's just a full-on evacuation from
No,
IKB, and all of our TM is here in this blue side jungle right now. So look at where Cypher Soul and Vision of Empire are. They're going to take this tower down in the bottom lane. They're going to take away a lot of these jungle camps. And our TM, with that investment, not going to really get a whole lot out of it.
I mean, with Kaisa Lilia, do you think there's any chance that they drop Herald and use it for Prio on Baron? Like, they don't necessarily have the opportunity to hold this all the way until the next Mountain Dragon. You're either dropping it and trying to force a tower, or you're using it like you should use second Herald for lane priority. I just don't know if they can actually do it this early. What am I saying? They have Kaisa with 2 items in Kraken. They definitely can.
Yeah, they have
They just need
Kaisa, they have
space.
percent damage on Lilia as well. It should be a
Mm-hmm.
relatively quick Baron for them. Um, but you need like you said, you need the space, you need the time in order to do it. And right now they don't have that, but it is the 3-man stack in mid lane. Blazing Cake headed there as well. Gareth are now going to split off just a little bit, but ROTM continuing to roam together. Um, much like ducks, they're flying together through the jungle. Is the
That
Mighty
was
Ducks
so out of
reference
left
cool?
field. No, I mean, I got it immediately, but I wasn't prepared by any stretch of the
You know, when
imagination.
the wind blows hard and the sky is gray, ducks fly together.
I need to watch it again sometime soon. It's been too long.
Has it aged well? Has anybody watched it like recent? I know they had that new series on Disney Plus, but probably
I,
don't
th- I
watch
think
that.
it
That sounds bad.
I think it aged into the nostalgia factor. I don't know if it necessarily aged well, like holds up against other similar movies, but like how do you dislike it if you ever watched it as a kid, right?
Yeah, that's probably true. It's always weird. I I was that weird kid. I think D3 was probably my favorite Mighty Ducks movie. Because I thought it was funny that they were playing like Norway or whatever it was.
I think that's probably respectable.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Might not be everyone's choice.
Yeah, I don't know why I had such a love for that particular movie. But,
We're sort of just dancing over Vision here. Nobody's like we're trying to keep Prio in mid waves. It's pretty easy for Xerath to do that on his own time. But we've been here for about 30 seconds, and we're still another 30 seconds away from the dragon's actual spawn.
so this full
They have
rotation's
just
gonna get
kind of,
spotted. They've
yeah.
seen all 5 now. They're gonna drop the Herald in mid lane, and IKB have a decision to make. They're gonna back, it looks like, and try to defend their inhibitor tower. Sheila is on the march. They can chunk through this very, very quickly, assuming Sheila catches up to the team in any reasonable amount of time. There it is. Inhibitor tower just gone. Our team's made a play. They made a decision, and IKB a little bit late to the party. They're going to lose their inhibitor tower, and now Haru Haru looking for the engage, just throwing out the culling. Cardinals doesn't get slowed up, doesn't get snared, damage being traded back a little bit by that Arcano pulse, and now ROTM can return to the dragon, and what a great decision by Crowstorm, but now the engage coming through, the charm going to land onto Wing Nation. He's already down. It's a shutdown for the Yone. Cardinal's very low. He has to try to run away. He's, for some reason, the focal point of the directed camera, but he's going to fall. Another shutdown for Srisai. And now this unit from IKB just rolls through. They find 3 kills. They're going to get the dragon on the end of this one. Cake might have something to say about that. Is this even worth diving in for? It would be the Mountain Soul if he's able to secure it, but he's not going to pull the trigger on it. And instead, Dragon Soul delayed, and IKB survives for the time being. They're headed toward Baron. 2.7k down, or God, 2.7, I don't know where I'm pulling that number. 2.5k down, and it's just Cake and Boar to try to defend. Can they burst this down fast enough?
I mean, you've got TPs coming in a second from Cards and Winged. I don't feel like they do enough damage. I think they need to back off of this.
5,000 health on it. Cake still hanging around. He's got his ultimate available. Winged is poking through. 2,000 health. Right at the arcane over the top. In comes Cake, but it's secured by the Trundle. They're going to try to focus down Cake, and they do at the end. They've traded 1 for 1, but Boar flying into the backline looking for Saber. Going to be able to finish off the Nami. Now kiting away from Cypher. They might just be able to get the full team wipe. It looks like Srisai was able to recall to base, so they'll at least survive with 1 Baron buff, and it looks like Cypher will survive as well. So they'll have 2 Baron buffs available to leverage. But, you got your coins ready. We're flipping today, boys.
And something John Mulaney quote about unpacking all of that. It was a really nice initial macro play. I think IKB just lost track of the fact that Shielda was an option that Return the Middle Six had to drop, but then after this inhibitor goes down here, Return of the Middle Six also didn't recognize that when you force them to back after they rotated around for Dragon, they also get to buy. And, they had been dancing around clearing waves for enough time that a couple major items came in, Chemtech and Mortal, for the 2 solo laners, as well as, I believe, an extra, I think it was Sheen over the top for Haru Haru. And that little bit of extra damage and some positioning mistakes just popped Rodham's, 2 solo laners really quickly.
Yeah, I think the bigger issue is honestly the positioning factor. Our team was very set on, we're going to set up for this dragon. There's nothing they can do about it. And as a result, there was something they could do about it. Srisai hit a big encore, specifically getting caked and winged in that. And that meant that they were able to chunk out the Xerath and finish him off before anything could really happen. Then they tracked down Cardinals and Boar at kind of similar times. And once they started winning those 1v1 and 2v2 skirmishes, that fight really fell apart. And now Baron buff on 2 members of IKB. They're pushing in mid, and our team's actually just going to give up this mid lane turret for now. Well, not for now. It's permanently gone, but they're giving it up.
Yeah, it is in fact no longer on the map. So
Interestingly, the dude on top of the turret just kind of falls into a hole. I don't really understand. We beat on it, and then it just kind of falls into a hole. I guess so that they can lift it back up for the next game. Not really sure.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, our team kind of really ceding control of their turrets. It feels like they could pressure this a little bit more. Well, that's kind of the key, right? They need the Arcano pulses to start landing, and instead in comes more damage, and IKB has taken 2 towers down, kind of against what you would expect from the run of play. They're really shoving in this mid wave, which has the super minions in it for ROTM, but they're not allowed to push right now.
Yeah, it's starting to feel very late game Seraphine. 5 people are stacked up, and at a certain point the poke matters, but also it doesn't really matter. Like Xerath is like top tier double S in terms of poke damage that you can get out of a single character stacked into a comp that doesn't really rely heavily on poke damage, and consequently there is a short list of champions who really don't care about poke damage because they out-heal it. Seraphine is one of those.
I didn't realize you could proc Guardian on jungle camps. That feels
Oh yeah, it used to really piss me off when I was a support main because my Guardian, I would walk into lane for first wave with no Guardian because I would play a melee character and stand too close, one leashing at blue.
Cake has to be very careful here. I don't know that he knows he needs to be careful, but a little damage over the top there from Winged. Boar and Gareth are here. The flash forward from Gareth are not able to find the hook. The Seraphine ult over the top. I'm waiting on it. I thought that I saw it. There was a line. I guess that was the Xerath uh, color blindness. Anyway, yeah, that Xerath Q and the Seraphine ult actually are kind of the same color. Anyway, Haru gonna get chunked through Boar. Very, very low, but the 80 carry for IKB is the first one to fall. Flash away from Saber. They're trying to reset these battle lines, but in comes Cardinals. Gets the 3-man sleep, but there's no real follow-up from ROTM. They're gonna open up with the right of the Arcane. They eventually shut down the Seraphine, and they're able to claw the Trundle off of their backline. There's so many low health bars for ROTM. Vision of Empire turns one back, able to finish off Garithar. Winged has no mana, now does because he's auto-attacked. He's got the Shock Orb. They're trying to get it, and they put him into the Guardian Angel, and eventually they'll put him into the dirt as well. ROTM find the fight, they get the Mountain Soul, and they'll have the push in mid.
And that was the fight that they needed. I felt like it started off really well, actually, for IKB, finding that Fate Sealed. Yes, Fate Sealed over the Dragon Wall onto 2, but they lost Haru immediately.
All right, Haru and Saber need to try to find a base defense here. Starts off okay, but then Haru takes a huge chunk of damage over the top. Cypher has respawned as well. They're throwing everything they can into the base defense, but the Nexus is falling. Cake and Cardinals onto it. It's still alive, though. Haru very low, but it's just not enough to finish off the members of ROTM. The Nexus falls, the series is tied at 1, and we're headed to game number 3.
That felt really close for how far ahead Return to the Middle Stick stayed for most of the game. Props to IKB for never saying die, but yeah, they're able to equalize, and the more standardized team comp does work out super well for Return to the Middle Sticks this time around. We'll have to see what draft adaptations we get for Game 3.
Also, for your prediction, Yone had 3 kills, Lucian had 2, so... all you Yone pickers are going to win some points right now.
Huge. I don't remember what I picked. I picked Yone. Easy money. And that's a physical Rotom logo button. It's so free.
Anyway, big shout outs to Marionette, Hulk, and you, Oath, for the resubscriptions and the 5 gift subs from Oath, so thank you. Big claps from my co-caster. And thank you, OG Kush, for following the stream. If you guys don't follow the Middle Stick stream and you are willing to hit the follow button, it does really help us out, so please do. With that said, we're going to set up game number 3. We'll be right back. We're at least getting 4 now. We're just staying on the same sides. Kind of like that.
I mean, each team has a win on their respective side. I respect it. We're just getting salty runbacks, but without the champion locks necessarily. Although I do appreciate those. If we see some of those this series, I will not be disappointed at all.
So we've seen the advancing Lilia priority. Is it B1?
I don't know, because we've also seen it in a scenario where like Lily is still a flex pick. We got it counter pick B4 in game 1, and then we got it R3 when it could I think it could still go jungle. No, there was a Hecarim lock in. I think so.
Yeah, I think it was R4. But...
It might have been. But yeah, I don't. It's a tough call. If we see it B1, I think we're probably going to see it this game at B1. Of course, it's entirely different. I mean, us as casters, we have a different perspective than without the team comms. It could be that neither team is really considering Lilia that impactful right now.
I mean, it's the only champion that's won 2 games so far this series. So.
Also true. I think we're likely to see some staples return though. No Wukong, no Aurelia, no Yuumi, no MF. So, with the remaining pool of champions, we'll have to see what gets the most priority. Oh, and they draft him.
Oh, alright.
Hey, look, there it is. Oh, Tarek, that's the one I was missing. And a Graves. Love that for them.
Welcome back, then, game number 3, as we get into pick and bans between IKB and ROTM. It's been 2 decently lopsided stomps, one for each side, and IKB, they're even upping the priority on Seraphine. They're moving that up to blue 1.
Interesting, honestly. I can't say that was the champion that I expected to have the highest priority in the game for game 3, but I really can't fault them. Seraphine's an incredibly flexible champion, and doesn't really lock you into any one team comp or playstyle either, so that's exactly what I was expecting, and they kind of beat me to it. But Kai'Sa Lilia going to be the direct answer from Return to the Railsticks.
Yeah.
Sort of feels like they got the better end of this one. We'll have to see what B2 and 3 look like before I can really say that they have the early draft advantage.
Yeah, this is an interesting moment for IKB. Do you return to the Lucian? Alright.
Well, that's a choice. It was banned away, R5 ban, I believe. So
yeah, so something we hadn't taken into account was that was Cypher's first game, right? So Cypher is obviously the one that plays Udyr, and that apparently is a very big comfort pick for him. So we'll see. It got rebuffed, if I'm not mistaken, after being nerfed pretty heavily, and then the meta kind of shifted away from him. Then he got rebuffed now, a little bit of extra damage on his Phoenix stance. But they're going to go with the Leona for Saber, so a very different look now in the bottom lane possible for IKB. They've got the engage support, and we'll see what they want to pair it with later on.
I mean, there's a frightening amount of CC coming from ult and non-ult abilities alike for IKB here. They just really need some damage to put with it, so we'll have to see what Rodham wants to take off the table the most. It's going to be Rel for Garithar again. So
yeah, I almost would rather see the Nautilus run back.
Personally, I feel the same way.
Rel felt a little off in game number 1. I don't necessarily blame Garithar. It just wasn't the best game for ROTM altogether, but the Rel didn't stand out to me, but his Nautilus hooks were on point today. I just feel like you go back to the well, but we'll see. Garithar will probably just impress me, and ROTM Rels are traditionally very good, but and this is, of course, a very different matchup. Now you're not trying to herd down a Lucian with a Yuumi on it. You've got the Leona who will be coming at you.
Yeah, and the same for the Udyr. Like, it's actually pretty easy to execute your combo into what IKB have so far. Not that any of these are really priority targets, except maybe the Seraphine, who stands the furthest away out of the three of them. Yone Lucian feels like pretty staple bans. I mean, why give them comfort when you don't have to and you've got bans to spare?
Yeah. That means that we'll see some different champions from Vision and from Haru Haru, 100%, and the Kennen going to be taken away again from Wing. So now an interesting point, do you... presumably this will be a jungler for Blaze and Cake, right, to match into the Udyr. They could take the Lilia jungle, and this could be like a Nardinals angle, but... I'm feeling
honestly, I'm feeling a jungler here, and I'd like to see Cardinals return performance on the Lilians, unless the I kind of like that actually.
Yeah, so Cake gonna get his Kiana. We've seen him pop off 2 or 3 games on it now. Really like that pick, very strong right now. And now Vision might have the answer for the Deer, and Darius should be pretty good against that. If that's locked in. I don't want to talk about hovers. That's bad, but
It assuming it does get locked in here, as we're dipping below 3 seconds left.
Yeah.
It is notably very good into the Deer. Turns out Axe is second only to Rifles in that company. So we'll have to see what IKB is willing to blind here in well, I guess they don't actually have to blind anything necessarily.
yeah, they could pick
The
a Flex,
Seraphine,
but
yeah.
it's going to be the Tryndamere, so that means that it's Seraphine Leona bottom, presumably?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to puzzle out, is like Seraphine doesn't necessarily have to go mid here, so it could be a blind of some kind, and it turns out that it might be, assuming Tryndamere is actually going into the mid lane, which would make the most sense. Tryndamere Leona doesn't sound particularly effective.
Urgot. That feels like a lane counter to Tryndamere. I don't know if that's a Wing Nation Urgot or a Cardinals Urgot. But
if
Urgot...
it's not a Cardinals Urgot, then it means it's Kiana mid, Lilia jungle? Question mark?
Urgot used to jungle as well. You wanted one of these drafts, right?
I did want one of these
out?
drafts, man. This is exactly what I was hoping for. I mean, you can very safely put Kai'Sa Rel bot lane, but what is this abomination from Hulk in my chat, bro?
That's it's the Rodham copy pasta, but backwards.
But it's backwards. I'm saving that one. Thank you for this.
All right, I'm gonna put up a prediction, and then I really have to go to the bathroom. I'm sorry.
Entirely fair. Prediction away.
So, I'm gonna leave the cast to you in your capable hands for a minute or two here while I go.
That's a bit of a stretch, my guy. Let's see. So we are confirmed for Lilia top. That's kind of expected. There's the Kiana jungle. So it is just going to be the lane Urgot counter to Tryndamere. I'm not positive how I feel about it, but at least you have your damage profile covered. Like, Kai'Sa does some magic damage. You get magic damage straight up from Lilia. Quite a bit of it, all things considered. So you're not leaning super heavily into one side or the other. We'll have to see how effective it is in lane, because you're ending up in a scenario... Sorry, you're ending up in a scenario where you're really short-ranged on both sides, actually. There's, I think, quite literally one ranged champion a piece for these two squads. So it'll also be interesting to see exactly how much damage IKB can put out without like a proper carry. Tryndamere qualifies as a proper carry. We've seen it happen at Worlds. He's just an ADC, but he's melee, and he can't die because he's angry. But you don't really get the same experience as having like a dedicated ADC to go late game with. Like, Kai'Sa's not going to have issues with Tryndamere after a certain point, especially when you've got peel power like Rel to back it up. So IKB kind of have a clock this game, which is not a look that we've seen from them recently. I should have drawn that analysis out longer because now I'm out of things to say and Aaron's not back yet, so... We're gonna stare at this really nice screen that includes, but is not limited to, 2 logos, a nice countdown timer, some green smoke. Big fan of green smoke. I have to hit this prediction real quick before I lose time. More kills in game 3, the Kiana Urgot combo, or are we going with Lilia and Kaisa? That's an interesting call. I don't actually know what I'm supposed to vote here. Let's do this. Why not? I'll put channel points to burn. We are into the spectator delay, which is nice because it means we're closer to watching more exciting League of Legends action. Lane by lane, I mean, we kind of identified it already. Darius really shouldn't have that many issues with Lilia. You kind of just have like the world's most annoying slow and the ability to pull in deer, kind of like Bo Peep pulls people in Toy Story with the little hook. That's the most obscure way I could have gone about that. I don't purport to know anything about this jungle matchup in particular. Kiana jungle is still a fairly new concept to me, and Udyr is like possibly the most one-dimensional character in this game. Speaking of one-dimensional, you do also have Tryndamere right next to that champion, so you know I don't want to offend one of them by calling the other one more one-dimensional. And then Seraphine Leona seems pretty standard, right? You just like survive the lane and then you're both teamfight monsters in your own right. Yeah. It's at this point that I realize that I haven't really been casting with the same frequency that I used to, because I used to be able to just fill time at the drop of a hat with random nonsensical facts and conjecture about this video game, and now I can't. So I do apologize for the semi-solo AFK cast experience that you guys are receiving. Hopefully we get my better half back soon. Where are we at with the prediction? Oh, nice. We got quite a bit in the pool. I like that. Big money. Almost to what? 9k? Yeah, 9.2. Alright. That's solid. So we are guaranteed, no matter what happens, at least one more game after this one, so we're kind of locked in here for the long haul.
Alright, I'm so sorry about that.
But no worries. I made a token effort at entertaining stream. You may or may not want to go back to catch all of my expert analysis that I blew in the first minute and then had to bullshit things for the next 2.
That feels like my life, so I can respect that.
I was just mentioning to stream that we are locked in for the long haul. No matter what happens this game, we are getting another one. So.
Yep, it's a best of 3 now from here on out. And regardless, one of these teams will be up 2-1 at the end of this one as we load into the Rift for game number 3.
Which is kind of like how they tell you to look at it, right? If you're a player mentality, the series is 1-1, so it's just a best of 3. The series is 2-2, so you're just playing a best of 1. It's sort of a trick to keep you focused on what's ahead and not worrying about how you played in the previous 4 or 2 games.
Yeah. Well, on to the Rift for game number 3. Sides haven't changed. IKB on the blue side. Return of the Middlesticks Crowstorm on the red side. And like we had kind of hinted at, I know you've probably covered it, but actually, I'm going to change topics immediately halfway through trying to set up that topic. There's 2 ghosts and no teleports on the side of IKB.
Yeah, it's a choice. I kind of get it because one of the things I mentioned in my analysis is how incredibly short-ranged both comps are. You have a grand total of 2 ranged characters in this game. So having like just straight up better movement speed, including but not limited to phase rush on Udyr, as well as kind of like a third ghost, combined with the E for that character, could end up mattering quite a bit in this matchup. But you also just don't get to move around the map at all.
Well, should be interesting. I wanted to mention that Winged had the Urgot and Cardinals had the Lilia, so you get that Urgot into Tryndamere matchup that we kind of highlighted, but then, yeah, you have the bad matchup of the Lilia into the Darius. So Winged gonna walk in here at level 1 and spot out who he's laning against, presumably, was kind of the big goal of that. Cypher is going to solo start on this blue buff, but it's going to be immediately spotted by this ward that was placed by Cardinals. Oh.
Yeah.
What is happening over here, though? Vision's going for the bush cheese at level 1 here. And Cardinals is taking a safe route so far. And now he's taking a risky route. This could be bad.
This could be really bad, actually.
Though. Yeah. Okay, he got spotted, so it's not that detrimental, but now they know 100% where Cake started, right? And then Vision missed all of those CS, so it actually wound up being a little detrimental for him, but he can walk in at level 1 and just win trades because he's Darius.
Yeah, that sounds very Darius-esque.
Yeah, I remember one of the crazy things was right when Gwen came out, was that Gwen could beat Darius at level 1 in an auto-attack trade.
Yep.
That was novel, but I don't think any other champion actually does, so.
No, I'm pretty sure no champion that I'm aware of just straight beats Darius in an auto-attack trade level 1. If you are auto-attack trading, I mean, there is a particular set of runes in build on
Cake is
Yasuo
really low,
can.
and the invade from Haru is going to spot him out and force the flash out of Cake.
That's actually really rough this early on.
Oof. Yeah, this is so hard for Cardinals to play. This lane is not fun.
I'm of the staunch opinion that no Darius lane is fun. In fact, before Yuumi came into the game, you asked if I could remove a character from League of Legends. Who is it and why is it Yuumi? It's Darius, in fact, for me.
See, my answer still isn't Yuumi, but yeah.
Just out of curiosity, what is your answer?
So the old go-to is Nasus. I absolutely hate that champion. Tryndamere is another option. And then I really don't like Seraphine, but I don't like her for more aesthetic reasons than I hate the character's kit or anything.
Yeah.
I hate her singing. I wish that she was just different, I guess. But yeah, I'd probably go Tryndamere. I think Tryndamere is my solid answer. Anyway, there's things happening up in the top lane. Vision of Empire forces the flash out of Cardinals. He pops the Ghost. Cake just trying to get the little bit of damage down. He chains through, but he actually doesn't have a red buff right now. Cardinals is so low. Is he going to die? It doesn't. It's first blood for Cake. Oh, but Cardinals does eventually fall to the bleed, so they trade 1 for 1.
That was so stressful for, like, no particular reason. In fact, I think if Vision of Empires didn't overflash there and he got the Q heal, it probably doesn't end up being even remotely close. He just gets the kill and then dies, right?
Yeah. Well, this is an experience. Thrice I actually got 2 crits during that, and the last auto will finish off Winged. So the solo kill in mid lane for Srisai when Winged was the one that picked the fight. That's less than
yes. I see this lane counter is working as intended. If you got the opportunity to catch one of my draft games, I got the experience of playing Tom Kench mid into Tryndamere, and I went down 0-2 before picking up a really interesting quadra kill that I probably didn't deserve. But yeah, Tryndamere just does that level 1. Like, the base damage you get out of the spin, plus, hey, my champion crits for existing. Have fun, enjoy.
Yeah, that is 100% why I would remove Tryndamere from the game, for the record. Like, the ultimate lasts way too long for what it is, and can be used through anything, which doesn't make any sense to me. And then like the fact that you can just show up and crit at level 1 and win the game is just the most frustrating gameplay experience. Like you can completely outplay a Tryndamere, and then he crits you. And I sound really salty just because Tryndamere exists, but if Wing were playing Tryndamere, I would feel exactly the same way. Fuck Tryndamere. Thank you.
I appreciate your TED talk. My go-to has always been and probably always will be Zillion. Because like there are a lot of characters that I dislike, Darius being among them, but Zillion has always just irked me in a way that no other character really does. On release, Zoe was close.
Yeah, that was a
On release,
special
Zoe was
experience.
really close. But no, I really don't like characters that can be faster than everything. Speaking of faster than everything, that's a really nice sleep, but you're out of mana, so Cardinals
Yeah.
doesn't get to pick up that kill for free, unfortunately.
Yeah, Cardinals can't quite follow that one up, and so, um, yeah. Um, Sorry, I got distracted by something else. But Dragon gonna go the way of Cypher Soul off of. I'm actually not really sure. They just have lane priority, and I guess that he's Udyr, so why not? I think I did. I lose Oath? I don't know.
No, not quite. I
We're
just
just being
needed a
pensive.
refill on the water.
No, that's fair.
Yeah. And also like we're in for the sleeper solo lane experience, where this is our gameplay loop in mid, and our gameplay loop in top has already been decided. And one of the two sides of this bot lane is
Oh, can he execute through? No, he just lives while he's enraged,
no,
right?
he just lives. Yep.
Okay. You just kind of grind him up, and he's got 1 health, right? So you have to be really
Yeah.
careful about when you activate it.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
If it sits long enough and you activate it late, it works, but once you pull him in, of course it's Tryndamere, so we can just use it anyway.
Well, bottom lane is also happening. Garithar and Boar trying to do anything they can, but they'll break the shields. Cake gonna get dunked by Vision of Empire, but it doesn't kill him just yet. Now Srisai coming in, looking for the crits onto Cardinals. Winged is walking in, but they've finished off Blaze and Cake. Srisai has to use the Tryndamere ultimate, and he'll be able to escape. So, pick up in that I guess Topside River is more accurate for IKB, and they've got a little over 1,000 gold lead already, mostly off of the back of the kills, but a little bit on just the farm between Udyr and Kiana.
Yeah, and two of those kills going on to Tryndamere this
Oh,
early feels
Garithar.
so bad.
Garithar has Magnet Storm available. He's not going to have Crash Down. There it is. Coming back up. Pulls in the Magnet Storm onto Saber. Haruharu has to flash away. And Cyber is going to be fine as Cypher Soul just walking through the turret doing the Tryndamere thing. Going to get a couple of stuns down. The Tryndamere gaming experience, or the Udyr gaming experience, but not quite able to get that. Has to flash away. And now Cake is walking in, trying to get any damage down. Dashes forward, looking for the execute, but Haruharu staying safe, getting topped off a little bit by some shields, and no one will die in the bottom lane off of all of that trading.
I I don't want to I don't want to flame him for it because it isn't the most intuitive thing in the world, but I've seen 2 or 3 different scenarios between games 1 and now where Garithar has the opportunity to pop Magnet Storm mid W and actually pick up his primary target, and then instead pops it with like the 0 movement speed that Rel gets after the W and ends up missing by like a hair's breadth, and it's really unfortunate. Like
Yeah,
every time that it's happened so far.
it's like he's trying to maximize his crowd control with the W and R, but if you don't hit the W, then it's not a maximization.
Yeah, it only
Oh,
it only
oh.
actually works in certain scenarios, and it's almost always better to just combine the two abilities. It's like where if you can hit W on Rakan and then ult after, you get way more CC time, right? But you almost always need the R to hit W if you're trying to go for it raw. I think about them pretty much the exact same way, despite those champions being wildly different.
That was really sad, by the way, on the crab.
Oh yeah.
Bled out to Tryndamere with Udyr right there. That's 30 gold that just went down the drain. Cardinal's going to go for the sleep on Division of Empire, but he's got the flash away, and nothing really happening in the top side. Garethar had roamed up along with Cake, and they're not going to be able to find anything there. Saber hanging around, has the Solar Flare available if they want to invest it, but Srisai not able to really find an inroad, doesn't have any CC on the Tryndamere. Now they're trying to lock up Garethar if they can. A lot of damage being traded back. They'll pull in the Magnet Storm, but a good charm from Haru Haru means that they'll finish off Winged and Garethar underneath the turret. 2 kills for Imperial Knights Blue, and now Cardinal's running for his life through the jungle, but there is nowhere for him really to go. His only hope is going to be to try to kill Vision and try to get out of there, but I don't know that that's even remotely possible. Now underneath the turret. Cake very low. He gets the stun into the wall onto Saber. Trades one back. Cardinals eventually gets tracked down and shut down. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, somehow Boar killed Tryndamere?
Yeah, Suicide popped ult pretty early, and then I'm pretty sure Boar either landed like a max range W or, you know, it had to have been a max range W. I don't see any other way that he gets that kill. Maybe it was just enough damage for like a tower shot to finish him off, but if, I don't have replay, so
Yeah,
I could have replay, but I'm not going to.
yeah, I'm not particularly sure about that, but they get 2 kills in the mid lane regardless, and that'll be enough priority for Cake and the boys to go ahead and secure their first dragon of the game, and we'll get the Infernal Rift because why not? More damage for game number 3, but a 6-3 lead for Imperial Knights Blue and a 1,500 gold lead here early on, about 12 minutes in.
Yeah, and we're getting really close to peak Tryndamere experience where he has Mythic and full boots, and then you just don't really get to play the video game against him until you have like uh, a massive numbers advantage.
Yeah, Wing doing all right on that trade, but just no way to cut through the healing from his E? No, E's the spin. Q?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It's really wild to me that that an ability like Tryndamere Q has existed this long in League of Legends, like since release, where the only functionality of it is I get health back based on how angry I am, but most of the time I just want to stay angry because being angry gives me, 33% crit chance, I think it is, or something close.
That sounds right.
I think it's 35 in total, because I remember there was an experience where on old runes you could take like all crit chance quints, I believe, and hit like almost 50% level 1 with a couple other bits of investment if you just stack up your rage.
Yeah, Cypher's going to find Cake in the river, and this fight does not go well for Cake. He really has no clear target. Going to go ahead and flip Srisai into the wall with the Kiana ultimate that shall not be named, but Cypher Soul is there, just burns him down with the Tiger stance. Now, Winged and Gareth are trying to collapse. They'll be able to pull him into the meat grinder, and Winged does at least trade one back. He gets the shutdown on the Udyr, which for some reason he had, and they trade
Oh, he
one
has
for one.
119 farm.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Um, I forget that farm can give you shutdowns now.
So, I mean,
Back in
props
my
to
day.
Cypher Soul. He has like as early game jungle Udyr, he's outpacing everybody else in the CS department. I feel like the only out there for Blazing Cake is to just like repeat spam stealth as your Q option, and even then, I mean, what exactly are you supposed to do there as Kiana?
Yeah, 7-4 in kills. Still about a 1,000 gold lead. We're still hanging relatively steady, but do you feel like that favors the Tryndamere team?
Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. It's a bit of a question mark to me on this game, just because uh, everything kind of relies on Seraphine ult, right? Like Seraphine ult and Solar Flare are the two ways that you get any engage without being on top of Return to the Middle Sticks. So, you know, there gets to a point in this game where without really impressive flanking or a freak 4 or 5 man Seraphine ult combo, Srisai just gets kited out for being melee, right?
Yeah, I also don't know that you necessarily have to fight. I was thinking about it. It's just completely different win conditions, right? RTMs is a much more traditional style composition. They just want to group up and win, but IKB will be very happy if they just never group up the entire game. They could just play 1-3-1 the entire way and eventually kill the Nexus. And I think that that's not like a scaling thing so much as you just have to be constantly vigilant for it. And so far, RTM keeping their towers up at 15 minutes is at least a little win, especially after one Herald has been invested. So we'll see how long that can continue. But the moment those towers start falling, it's going to open up Surisai to head to some side lanes and start, really bashing these towers in.
Yeah, I do remember a game, I think it was last year's draft league, where the sub top laner in our last match of the season was a Tryndamere Yorick 2-trick, and literally all he never grouped. He didn't group for the entire 5-game series, and it was actually one of the most frustrating experiences I think I've had in a League of Legends game in the last 3 years.
Oh, Garithar and Cake not spotted out on the sweeper. They're also don't really have vision of anybody on the enemy team, so they can't pull the trigger, but 15 seconds to go on this Infernal Dragon. This is kind of the option for ROTM. If they still win a head-to-head 5v5 fight, they can take it at this Dragon and force them to come to objectives. But for now, Gareth are going to get spotted out on the ward, and that means that Surisai is going to chase in. I honestly might favor IKB right now in a full 5v5, even though their champion should theoretically be worse at it, just given the completed mythics. And it looks like RTM's made the same call. They're going to go ahead and give up Dragon number 2 to IKB for the time being. And now back to tower defense.
Yeah, the full tower defense experience actually. And that is a puzzle that Return of the Middle Six is going to have to solve. Is if IKB won't give you the late game fight, once you're finally at a point where you're ready to take it, how do you end up winning this game? Like, you can pick up the rest of the dragons and a couple of barons and try to use them to alleviate the pressure, but IKB have already gotten their 2 stall drakes. Even if they never take another drake fight this game, they're, as you mentioned, more than content to just whack away at structures for the rest of the experience.
And Haru's gone Leandry's. Oh, the engage from Garithar. They're looking for anything they can. They're going to find Saber, lock him up. In comes Cake, trying to find the flip into the wall. He does get the double stun. Boar is in with the killer instinct, but they're staying relatively healthy. They do eventually finish off the Leona, but I don't think they'll be able to commit to the dive for Haru. And in fact, it gets traded back, and they'll take down Boar in the 1-for-1. And now with Surisai here, Cake and Garithar have to abandon ship. Winged, I don't think can really make anything happen unless he gets just a pixel perfect snipe onto Haru, but it looks like Surisai is aware of that, and everybody going to back away for the time being. So it's just the 1-for-1 in the bottom lane, and Cake will get a little extra farm, but no real result from that.
Yeah, and notably, this is not the support or even the supportive mid lane Seraphine experience. This is 152 farm, full AP, finished mythic Seraphine that you can't really just eat like 3 or 4 back-to-back empowered Qs like that and expect to walk away from it. So it is going to be another puzzle that Return of the Middle Six will have to solve, is just getting poked out, because they are similarly short-ranged. Like, there's no Xerath this game to equalize the amount of poke that Seraphine can put down.
Yeah, Wing walking forward, getting a little bit better of the current trades on Surisai. That Titanic Hydra making itself known. Oh, not quite able to land the ult. I don't know that it would have mattered anyway. You can at least yank him very annoyingly and then lock him up with the Rel that was hanging out. Cardinals so far has navigated this top lane relatively well. I'd say being down 2 kills to the Tryndamere at this point is fine, but now investing the ultimate, has the ult stacked up. The Noxian Guillotine is more than enough damage to finish off Cardinals with the bleed, and Vision of Empires get the solo kill right as I was praising Cardinals. Caster cursed him 3 minutes in the past. How do you do it? Magnets, how do they work? Saber is looking for the engage and has to back away.
Which is heavier, 20 kilograms of steel, 20 kilograms of feathers?
Feathers, because you have to deal with the weight of what you did to those birds.
I appreciate that you know like the proper response to that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should let
No,
you
I
have your
no,
own
it's
jokes.
no, it's
No,
great.
that's my bad.
Don't apologize at all. One of the other issues that they're kind of eventually gonna run. Well, they've got Urgot. Never mind. There is no wave clear disparity. You do get to do what Haru Haru is doing to wave as Urgot. You just get to do it with shotgun knees, which is arguably just way cooler than the power of your voice or whatever it is that Seraphine does.
Yeah, I don't quite understand that. Why is she hurt with her voice if she's a pop star, right?
I
That
mean,
seems
it
like the
technically,
opposite of what
like,
should happen.
it's not voice, but like Sona hurts with a musical instrument or something. I don't know. I feel like there are comparable weird weapons. There's a dude with a lamppost. League's a game that embraces technicality.
Yeah, Cypher has spotted some people in the jungle, and they're going to run and immediately take down Garithar. So the pick right before the dragon spawns for IKB. Garithar will be back up. I think he can even run in time, but that might just neuter any effort for Return to the Middle Sticks to try to get in and actually contest this dragon.
Yeah, and I mentioned something along the lines of like they've gotten their stall
Well,
dragons.
Boar... Oh,
Oh, that was nice.
that was
I
cheeky,
love
but
that.
now the Kai'Sult's down. So,
Yeah, exactly. No, that was part of what I was about to say. Is I mean, losing Kaisa ult and Garithar there is pretty much just the dragon. It looks like in a expectation subversion, the 1-3-1 is actually
God, the
Rodham's.
speed of these guys rotating through the jungle. The charm not quite able to land onto Blazing Cake. He's still relatively alive. Okay, now finally dies to Haru Haru over the wall. Boar and Winged trying to get in and do anything they can, but Srisai is just on top of Garithar, beating him down. Does finally pop the Tryndamere ult. Cardinal's trying to do anything that he can. Hits the big sleep. Winged still alive in the middle of this. Haru Haru very low. Boar's still alive. He's trying. Winged and Boar trying to chew through. It's just Cypher Soul versus Winged. Vision of Empire not involved in this fight. It was just a pure 4v5, and it's going to go 3 for 3.
Yeah, and man, to be able to get that and still have full health Darius pushing in the top lane is really nice for them. They are going to force him off of this dragon, so maybe that's the consolation prize for Return to the Middle Sticks, just having more members down here as they actually get to contest the Infernal.
Yeah, he's going to leash it out. Cake is on the way and gets spotted out on a ward now. Cypher Soul cannot hang around there for too long, but RTM doesn't know that he's there. And he's got a 3-level advantage, not quite able to steal the dragon, though. So the second 50-50 of the series does go the way of Blazing Cake, and Cypher just escapes thanks to that turtle stance. So dragon number 2 goes to Return to the Middle Sticks, and, you know, much like the series, the dragon count continues to extend.
And that's actually a really important dragon, I think, for Return of the Middle Sticks to get, because one of the points that I wanted to bring up before that fight started is that yeah, they could 1-3-1 the rest of the game, but also Seraphine's just really fantastic at fighting at jungle entrances. And so if they continue prioritizing dragons the way they have been, putting them in a soul point scenario where Rodham's forced to fight them around like this,
Oh,
oh
there we go.
wow.
Garithar pulling in Vision of Empire and Srisai. They'll flip him into the wall. Vision still alive, able to flash over the wall. Boar chases him down with the Killer Instinct. They have finally maybe found the pick that they need. Cypher very low. Cake in, gets the snare. Do they have the damage? They just can't finish anyone off from the side of IKB, but those chunks might be big enough that they're headed to Baron. This could be very risky. There's still a Seraphine ultimate left in, and that could be the big turning point. But we'll see. It's a 4v5 contest if IKB wants to walk in. Srisai trying to heal on this buff just a little bit. Cypher Soul going to go ahead and take it away for himself. But the Baron under fire. RTM playing this very carefully. Haru Haru has the big trigger pull. Watch for the Seraphine ultimate in this, and ROTM are going to respect it. They're going to back off for now.
Yeah, they actually don't end up wanting it the way they thought they wanted it. And honestly, that was a really good pick for them and a pretty important momentum swing. I don't think they need to force for anything more off of that play. A really nice startup there from Garithar, and I think the only complaint that could possibly be levied at Rodham there is that Wing didn't hold his ult a little bit longer. Otherwise, I think it's also the kill on Srisai, but it's close. Tryndamere does Tryndamere stuff, so hard to be upset about that.
Yeah, hard to lock that champion down and actually finish him off. Um, notably the only. I mean, there's a couple of shutdown bonuses, but they're going to be on hard targets to get the Udyr and the Seraph. I mean, honestly, it's very difficult to kill anybody singled out on IKB. If you can get everybody onto the Seraphine, that's probably the best option. But apart from that, there's no target that's very easy to burst. Winged, in a little bit of trouble in the side lane, though, as Cypher is here with Vision of Empire. They're collapsing in Blazing Cake, but it's not going to be in time. The Noxie and Guillotine coming through, and they'll shut down Winged. That pick doesn't matter a huge amount in the grand scheme of things, but the gold might for IKB.
Yeah, it might end up mattering a little bit. It also kind of just matters that Winged is off map and doesn't get to farm for that amount of time. It's also a little bit questionable how he ended up in a scenario where he was that I I don't want to say exposed because he's like 10 feet away from the tower, but somehow Vision of Empire ended up behind him there. And then there's just a straight up 1v2, which sucks for Urgot actually. The character cannot deal damage to more than one target at the same time. It's like not what he's designed for at all.
Yeah. So big gold lead. 5,000 for IKB. They've got a 6 kill advantage. They've knocked down all the outer towers, so this is when it starts to get a little bit harder for their comp. But, you know, if you leave Tryndamere or Darius or Udyr alone in a side lane for any length of time, you could lose your tower in a couple of seconds. So we'll have to see how this all macros out. But for now, continuing to split the map and not find these big pitched battles is the big goal for IKB. But minute to go on the Infernal Dragon. This represents the third dragon for either side, so it's both important and not important. It's not worth, you know, if there's no good fight for you to take, if you just can't find the angle, you don't really take it. But this might be the pick that they need. ROTM looking for Vision of Empire. They'll get the slow from the Urgot Q, trying to dive down onto him. And everything just kind of sails a little wide onto the Darius. He didn't really have to invest anything. And now some really important cooldowns down for Crowstorm.
Yeah, that's also just like a really important cooldown for this upcoming dragon fight. We're not gonna have the Kiana ultimate. I won't say it.
True.
I refuse.
Srisai kind of senses that weakness, going to walk in, get a couple of autos down. Cardinals has teleport. He's the only one really separated. Vision of Empire hanging around in the bottom lane right now, but with this speed boost can join up very quickly. And now IKB takes full control of the pit, and Tryndamere is going to be the one that starts it up. This is kind of an interesting
Yeah, they're just going to
setup,
leave it. I think that's the right call.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any way they can really do anything about it. And our team gives up the third dragon. Like we mentioned, not the most impactful dragon, but you know, good to be on Soul Point now. If your Imperial Knights blue, Cardinals might get this tower. That's something.
Yeah, and you know, Cardinals has actually arguably been doing more split pushing than Vision of Empire's the lane counterpart. So they are gonna try and track him down, but you don't really pin Lilia that easily, especially when that happens. So
yeah, the little
Cardinals definitely super safe.
The slow from the Swirl Seed slithers silently. I'm out of S's. I'm sorry.
I expected that to go a little bit further, but honestly, the fact that you went for it is impressive enough to me.
Yeah, so we continue playing this video game.
Well, no, not us.
Not us. Well,
although unfortunately, I do continue to play this video game, probably despite my better judgment.
Yeah, there's the crying cat meme. It's like, so you've played that game for 8 years now? Yes.
You must
so
be
that means
good.
you're really good at it. Crying cat. Yeah.
Tears, in fact.
Tears. Sag. Aikido taught me Smoge. That's also a thing.
Oh yeah, Smoge.
That's how I learn a lot of my hip lingo. Is either Lexus or Aikido teach me these words, and then I say them on cast, and then everybody makes fun of me. But
Well, that seems like kind of a scam. Like you just learned these words that work totally fine when other people say them.
Yeah, we he had to use Bussin last cast. Anyway, Cake gonna get caught out. It's pulled over the wall, but it's just going to precipitate a fight. Boar trying to kite back away Cake with an ultimate that doesn't really hit a whole lot. Srisai just doing his best here, doing his Tryndamere thing, but eventually gets shut down by Cardinals. Vision of Empire, though, has the reset, trying to kite back through. He's looking for it. He's on to Winged. He'll be able to take him down with an Oxy and Guillotine, the double kill for the Darius. And now the speed boost coming through, but that looks like it'll be the end of the fight. It's a 2-for-1 in favor of Imperial Knights Blue. And what can they get from this? It looks like they might head toward the Baron, but Cake is still hanging around. I don't believe he's on top of a ward. They have no idea that he's back there, but he's kind of pinned in by 2 wards, so they'll know as soon as he shows. And there it is. This is in full knowledge now as they turn back in, and they're going to pull in Boar, and there's nowhere for the Kaisa to go. It's a shutdown again for the Seraphine. They're trying to kite back away by time for these minions who have killed a tower in the mid lane now. But Baron restarted. Cypher Soul, Haru, and Saber don't do this particularly fast. Actually, nobody on this team does it particularly fast. Maybe Tryndamere has some exception to it, but they're burning it very slowly. 7,000 health. Cake still hanging out over the wall. Dodges a solar flare, but then gets pulled in by the Darius E, and he'll get taken down by the Noxian Guillotine. Now in comes the rest of the squad as Winged and Cards trying to contest. The Baron does go the way of IKB, and they're trying to get away. Winged gets pulled back in, and that cooldown, that apprehend from Vision of Empire has been so clutch in the past 2 fights. IKB gets the Baron, get a couple extra kills, and they are very far in control of this game now.
It feels super scummy as the analyst to like try to pick apart exactly what is going wrong for Return of the Middle Sticks, but the last 2 Kiana ultimates in particular going super wide are not buying them enough space that they need, among a couple of other things that have been happening. But the one thing that you need for the team comp that you have to fight effectively into things like Tryndamere and Darius and Udyr is space and time. More specifically, space. You need to be able to kite away from these exceptionally powerful at the effective range that they have champions.
Yeah, Solar Flare invested there by Saber. Not quite able to get Blazing Cake because he's got the blast coming out to safety, but the pressure still being applied by IKB, and they get the apprehend onto Garethar. He's trying to pop all of his CC, trying to turn this one back around. They get the knock up onto Haru. Cardinals in, gets a big sleep. That's a 10-man sleep, basically. The toss into the wall, though. They're trying to fight back. Boar still in touch on the backside, now getting stunned up, trying to kite back away. Wing tracking down anybody that he can. They've taken down Saber and Vision of Empire low. Boar over the wall. They'll get the shutdown, and ROTM gets a team fight win. 3-for-2. I was about to say tie. I thought it was 2-for-2, but they do get the win. They're going to get the dragon as well on the end of this one. They have to be careful, though. Srisai is going to push down in the mid lane, and they'll have to try to answer the Tryndamere here before too long.
Yeah, and that's really important. I mean, that's everything, is not letting this team comp get early Infernal Soul like this. They are going to take it to a full 7 dragons before that comes through for either of these teams, so it'll be 38 minutes before we get to see who ends up with that, frankly, ridiculous buff.
Yeah. This game just continues on. It's a 10,000 gold advantage almost. I guess 9,000. 10,000 is maybe a little bit generous for IKB. But ROTM find enough fights to be able to stay in the game and stay relevant. And you know, now getting a couple extra towers at the end of this one, it's... I don't really have words. I'm losing them right now. I'm floundering, but we're going late in this series and this game. The fatigue
we're going
probably
late.
Starting to set in. You can see some of the misplays starting to happen already here in Game 3, and we at least have one more.
At a minimum, one more, but when you
Cake,
say we're...
yeah.
Oh, here it is.
You can see the focus slipping just a little bit as Cake walks in, takes a big chunk from Srisai, who is now leashing the blue buff for his Seraphine. That's a big bro move.
Yeah, and when you say late, you're not kidding. I mean, we're almost full build Tryndamere. We're approaching full build for Boar as well. 4 items up on both of those characters. Getting pretty damn close on everyone else. 4 items up for cards as well.
Cypher Soul's build's completed on the Udyr.
Yeah,
He
you kind of just get to do that when you've got... Wait, huh?
It's completed. He's got the 16 stack of Medjais.
I I see that. I do. I have questions. I mean, it is Phoenix Bear Stance Udyr. I guess if you're... Is it really just the most effective single damage item he could have? It probably is, and I really don't like that.
Yeah, Cypher might be caught. Well, never mind. He's Udyr. He's fine. He's gonna take a little bit of damage, but yeah. There's 2.5 minutes to go on this Infernal Soul Dragon, as well as 1.5 on the Baron. Both teams just kind of ping-ponging waves back and forth for the time being, and hard to blame them. The tension's starting to build here. Again, it's 10,000 gold is the lead for IKB, but because of their team comp, it's very hard for them to pick and win a 5v5 fight. And if they give over 1, maybe 2 fights to ROTM, the game is just over. At this point,
and at that point, the gold lead also just doesn't matter anymore, right? Like, it almost doesn't matter now, just because of the items that have come through, and the fact that the close to the richest member, if not the richest member, of IKB is Udyr. I mean, also, I love talking about Flame Horizons, and I'm sad that I missed exactly when it happened, but Cypher Soul, in comparison to Blazing Cake, has been farming incredibly well. Like, Blazing Cake is on 2 completed items plus stopwatch. Like, he's actual poverty status right now.
Yeah, and continually getting his jungle camps taken away by anyone and everyone, really. Basically just an ult bot at this point is sadly what he's been relegated to. And yeah, now with 15 seconds to go on the Baron spawn, again, more jungle camps being taken away. Cypher can be pretty much anywhere on the map and get somewhere else in about 3 seconds. So that's, that's an Udyr.
That is
feature.
something that was mentioned in chat that I didn't get to, that I didn't really catch. You just get movement speed from Medjais, and I totally forgot about that change because I don't feel like it used to do that.
Ooh, E not quite going to land onto Wing Nation. Everybody kind of feeling each other out around the mid lane. Is IKB going to go ahead and grab mid lane priority and zoom off to the side of the Dragon. They've spotted Cardinals, and they get the apprehend onto him. This might be the key point for them. They're onto the back line now. Cardinals in a lot of trouble. He can't even pop the ultimate. Garethar looking for the ultimate, but they layered it together with the Kiana ult, and now IKB can start rampaging through. The charm from the Seraphine is huge. Streishack can re-enter the fight. It's a double kill for the Udyr, and they'll pick up a double kill for Saber as well on the Leona. Why not? But it's the team wipe, the 5-for-0 ace, and IKB is going to secure the victory in Game 3 and move to match point.
I was about to say it and I didn't get to. I was gonna say, I think we're like seconds away from a fight here, and then we just end up with a rather anticlimactic one where Cards just gets caught low vision out of the jungle, and that's the game, I guess.
Yeah, so 2-1 for Imperial Knights Blue. They get a big teamfight win at the end of the game. Their first like significant teamfight win throughout the whole game, but their macro, the way they were able to push ROTM around the map, was very significant in that game, and it's a completely different style to the one that we've seen them win with in Game 1 and the style that they played in Game 2 even. But IKB leads 2-1. They're on match point. We'll be right back with game number 5. Oh, for all you bettors out there, I don't remember. I think the pairs were
Kaisa Lilia, Kiana Urgot.
Okay, Kaisa Lilia is 8, and Kiana Urgot had 5 kills. So.
Oh, I stay winning. All right, here's my request actually. I need another category where it's like some ridiculous number of points and I just get channel MVP or a channel VIP.
Do you not have VIP?
No.
Oh.
I mean I sometimes open the list and I wonder what more I can do to reach the heights of people like Beatpots in 2004 Lexus GX 470. and I just assume that I'm not there yet, so I continue to work to achieve my dreams.
Yeah. I had no idea that you were not. I don't know. I always have
No, I figured that you I figured you didn't know, and I decided to like layer on as much as I could to that
Yeah.
that speech that I gave.
That feels pretty bad, man. I feel very guilty now. In fact.
No, don't at
I'm
all.
actively trying to find this right now, and I have no idea where it is because they've moved everything around in this stupid thing.
I also didn't get to give context. The reason that I like talking about Flame Horizons and stuff like that so much is because I'm a simp for any any concept in League of Legends that's been named after a player before for something that they've done. Like Insec is such a cool thing to me, and I watched this this video on like how the term came to be and all of that. It's super interesting. We get a scenario where this game as a sport is still like incredibly young by comparison to other things we consider to be sports. So you don't know how long legacies like that are going to last. I didn't have a follow-up to that, which makes me kind of sad because I felt like I was kind of on a roll, and then my brain like stutter stopped super hard, and I'm starting to feel that, oh, I'm going into game 4 of casting tonight, and I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to keep up analyzing, man.
No, that's completely fair. I know I normally get to a point in game 4 where I just start yelling words, and whether they're connected to the game that's happening on the screen or not is something else. But you know, sometimes you gotta just go for it.
Yeah, and can you really be held to any standard once you've been? What I think we're hitting our we're about to hit our third full hour on cast. Yeah.
Did you listen to Kobe's like 3-hour of sleep cast during Worlds?
Was that the one where it was like the most one-sided game we've had in recent memory?
I don't remember which games it was.
I know it was
with Dracos on his first cast of Worlds, and he was just like babbling incoherently. He started live casting one of the replays that had already happened, like it was live, and it.
I got the highlights because I've been watching all of the World's highlights. No matter what, if I like catch the game live or not, I always watch the highlights from that day. And I remember thinking that he was a little bit more manic than I remember, but also the game was just like the epitome of NA hopium at Worlds as well. So
yeah, he was. I think
might have to go back and watch the whole thing.
He had like just got in on his flight or something, and it only had 3 hours of sleep. So he was
oh boy.
He was having a rough one. And on top of that, they lost his suitcase. So I think he was wearing one of Dracos' suits, if I remember correctly.
Oh no.
Was I think the lore that was happening. Yeah. There were a couple of interesting things that were happening during that game.
Feels like it would be super fun to be at that level of production, where you get stories like that out of it. Like in the moment, that's probably a really rough situation to be in. Casting, that's not true. I've casted on 3 hours sleep, but I haven't done it in a suit or standing or on a world stage. So
yeah, I've never had that many people listening to me. Like, I've capped out at however many our hockey broadcast got to, so probably like, you know, thousands maybe, you know, not tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands.
I think my highest actual like viewer rated stream that I was a part of was either Legends semifinals or probably FAL.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think Philly B we got up to 70 or 80, which was pretty remarkable.
At finals, I'm pretty sure it was like 76 or so.
Yeah.
Are we drafting yet? I haven't actually.
Not just yet. There's a link. They just hit ready up actually. So.
Nice. That's solid. Oh. And we are drafting it as a Wukong van. I'm shocked.
You need to jump down in the actual.
Oh no, not like this.
Winged calling you out there, but we're in to draft for game number 4. IKB leads 2-1 on match point, and these bands seem a little bit familiar here.
Never seen any of these characters before in my life. Wow, are we getting the full salty run back? Please just lock Lilia here. Like, it was such a close game all the way up to the way it ended. In terms of like the fights, like undoubtedly IKB had a stranglehold on the gold lead, but we were approaching the part of the game where it didn't end up mattering. And no, we are going to pivot to Ezreal, and I don't get it. The salty run back set. I do like the look though. This gives you a completely different bot lane identity than we've seen in basically the whole series, actually.
Sorry, I got caught drinking some water.
No, that's fine.
Anyway,
this is one of the benefits that we don't get on the Worlds broadcast, where I don't get to like see you and know that you're drinking water.
Anyway, if you're out there watching right now, drink some water. It's good for you. Zyra.
Yeah, hydro homie.
Can't take that seriously. I don't know why. Zyra is the lock-in for Garithar. And so we've got Ezreal Zyra in the bottom lane, the poke burst lane, potentially to try to thwart the healing safety nonsense that happened last game. And IKB is having none of this. They're just going to run it back so far. Udyr locked in.
Yeah, we get the Udyr. What this is Leona, right? Oh, we're just leaning into it.
Oh god.
Not like this.
I like seeing the draft flexibility from IKB, but I absolutely hate seeing these two champions together.
What it reminds me of? Yeah, it's happening. I knew it was happening when they stayed on it that long. What it reminds me of though is that one league season in LCS where everyone was super pissed at TL and Doublelift for just picking Sonateric bot lane because it was just better.
Yeah,
like they had the star power of like I think it was Doublelift core at that point in time, and they were just using it to play Sonateric instead.
Yeah, something I thought was neat that no one else did was when you like the funneling meta, right? But not the beginning of the funneling meta because that was really boring. But toward the end, when there were like 9 different funnels that you could do, and they all were very slightly different, or you could play straight up.
Yeah, I remember
that was super neat, because
like it wasn't
while
the Terra
like,
D superiority anymore.
Yeah. I just remember like specifically G2 playing, like they locked in Xayah Rakan, and you're like, oh, that's a bottom lane, and then it was the like mid jungle funnel. Xayah Rakan, and then they had a different bottom lane. I thought it was super neat. Like, it brought a lot of interesting thoughts into drafting. I don't think that I want to go back there, but I thought it was neat at the time. Anyway, we have
not particularly.
We have Ornamental's 29. We've got a couple more bands, some beef boys. What did Papa Smithy and was it Atlas at the time called them? They were awesome dudes in the bottom lane. That was it. Yeah.
I know. I remember that.
Okay.
That was a superiority thing. I loved that. That was a peak timeline. One of the other peak timelines that we got is like, I don't like these metas, but I like when the meta shifts enough that there has to be an answer to stuff. Like, I think we saw Garen Yuumi bot lane for quite a while. That was another one that was, happening to us, unfortunately. I'm pretty sure at one point I also remember the season where 80 carries just didn't exist, and so we had stuff like Wukong Vladimir in bot lane. Man, it was interesting. So we've got some picks to catch up on.
So the draft is
we get Kazakhs. Is it?
Yeah, because there's a Kazakhs.
How badly do you want to solo cast the rest of this series?
I don't know. My brain's gonna melt regardless, so.
That's fair, actually. It's not much of a threat when you know what's gonna happen to you regardless.
Alright. So Gangplank and Yone for IKB, giving him some round out physical damage threat. And then the Lissandra counter for the Yone, presumably in mid lane. Although now you could play Yone Seraphine or Yone Sona bottom lane and then play the other in mid lane, so there's still flexibility for IKB.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see that flexibility cashed in on, because yeah, you can do a lot of things as Yone in that lane, but there's a reason this is like a 53.5, 54% win rate counter. Lissandra doesn't care a whole lot about Yone in lane.
Yeah, so second draft, once again. Alright, so the team that we've had in the prediction has lost all of the games. So what are you feeling about IKB? Is that mean? That's probably.
I
think it's
no,
just
I
good
don't,
sportsmanship, right?
I don't think it's mean.
All right, more assists in game 4.
Sona or Seraphine?
Sona or Seraphine.
Yep. I like that. That's solid. That's a good prediction.
I even matched the colors, so blue is going to be Sona and pink is Seraphine. That's.
Well, you're really just killing the production game,
yeah,
honestly.
that's the production value that you've come to expect from the Return of the Middles. I can't even say that with a straight face. Yeah, so anybody out there in the chat, tell me who's going to have more assists in game number 4. So we don't talk a huge amount about like actual lane matchups, but I am kind of curious how you feel about the Sona Seraphine versus Ezreal Zyra matchup. I don't really care too much about the rest of it. Like the rest of it kind of exists, but I have no idea how that goes personally. So,
like I really just don't feel like you have kill threat on Sona Seraphine with this lane. Like don't get me wrong, Ezreal's a character that pumps out a ridiculous amount of damage once he gets there. But this is not a kill lane, it's a poke lane. And poke lanes don't respond well to two different types of healing and shields. Ezreal is not the pairing with a root that just kills you. It's more like you're looking for a Caitlyn or a Jhin in this lane to get those free kills like that. So I really kind of just feel like IKB get a free pass in bot lane due to the fact that they're playing Sona Seraphine.
So then, is the point of the Kha'Zix pick to pick up the Serpent's Fang? Is that like his whole, what is your purpose in life? You buy Serpent's Fang? Oh no.
Oh no. And yeah, and you get to apply Serpent's Fang with the upgraded W is what I'm thinking that they're thinking. But I could just be thinking something completely different. I might be on a different level. There are some decent pick options for Kha'Zix here. I mean, it's not like you can't go after Yone, but Gangplank isn't a particularly tanky champion, especially not early. And then you've got Sona Seraphine as options as well. Basically, you get to fight anybody who isn't Udyr. Maybe not Sona Seraphine at the same time fighting them. You probably don't burst hard enough for that, unless you're ahead. But, yeah, I mean, it is going to be dangerous walking around as IKB with this Kha'Zix on the map.
I just realized I posted that in the wrong chat. Whatever, that's fine.
Uh-oh. Yeah, it's probably fine.
You know, sometimes you just post the stream link into the banter chat. Why not? Sure.
Huge.
Huge. Yeah. Whew. Well, we've been talking for a while. We got a minute
An amount of
30
time
left here. These players are tired. We're tired. Do you feel like IKB got the tools that they wanted to close out the series here?
I think the way they've been playing the game, I don't think they can really ask for a whole lot else. Maybe having both the Darius and the Tryndamere banned away was a little bit of a blow to them, and they had to adapt, but they had things to fall back on, right? Like, Vision of Empire has shown himself to be a very flexible player, and I don't doubt for a second that they feel confident handing him Gangplank which is the only new champion out of this lineup, except for the Sona, which, you know, doesn't have the same solo prowess risk in top lane that that a new champion on a solo laner typically comes with. And then Srisai's back on Yone, so if nothing else, it's comfort for them. Whereas we're seeing almost an entirely different look from Return of the Middlesticks. None of these characters have been picked yet in this series, so
yeah. Get your bets in. Looks like just a little bit of time left, and nobody going for the Seraphine this game. All 430 points are on the Sona.
other way around.
Is it the other way around? Can I not read?
Yeah,
Oh, I can't read.
I am the 420 points in this pool right now, and I bet on Seraphine.
Oh.
Somebody please challenge me. I am both bored and tired. Bored mostly because like we're not into the cast yet, and I have to sit through the loading screen after the spectator delay.
That's the wrong side. Okay. Well, you win some, you lose some. Alright, well, mostly you guys might lose some. 400 or 680 points could just go into the ether here, or I could be benevolent and cancel it. We'll see. Or maybe you'll win nothing.
Or maybe you'll win nothing. Okay. I have like a rift in front of me, but not characters yet, and I am ready for this experience to happen.
Yeah, the Sona Seraphine experience coming to you live on Summoner's Rift. Teams have not changed sides. IKB on the blue side. Return of the Middlesticks on the red side. Presumably loading in here in a couple of seconds. And away we go for game number 4. Game point for, or series point, I guess, for IKB. They can advance to the semifinals with a win. RTM playing for their playoff lives. The last LRS representative for our organization. And on they go to the Rift.
I do appreciate the fact that we are looking at a team who's willing to bet it all on 5 completely brand new champions for this series. Like we aren't seeing any single returning staples on Return to the Middlesticks' comp down 2-1. So we'll see if this kind of substandard team comp. I mean, you have all of the pieces, right? You've got the tank with some engage. You have the assassin jungler, stall control mage mid. A little bit more damage out of the support than you would typically find in this type of comp, but everybody has a clearly defined role.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Vor not feeling under threat, not feeling like he needs the regen, so he's going to opt for the tier start on the Ezreal.
I think that's actually totally fair into Sona Seraphine if you don't plan on fighting them at all. And a little bit odd because I've never known Boar to not plan on fighting anyone. But yeah, it will be regardless his option for this game 4.
Yeah. So we settle in, the 5 points are done. The junglers starting on opposite sides, and Blazing Cake's even going to get spotted. He's taking a lot of damage, actually, from that red buff. Didn't get the leash, so hurting a little bit now onto his Raptors. There's not like a threat necessarily from that, but we'll see if he can keep topped off as he rotates through. Udyr could go challenge him on his blue buff. That would be novel for the start of the game, but I think that both junglers will be happy with a full clear.
Yeah, it would be an interesting choice. I mean, Blazing Cake only stayed low for so long, but he did end up burning Smite on his first camp, which could leave him a little bit lower in the long run. But I'd be kind of surprised if these junglers actually saw each other before, like, level 4 or 5 or so. They're definitely not going to see each other on these crabs.
Yeah, kind of as you'd expect, the mid and the bottom lane shoving in for RTM, the top lane shoving in for IKB, and junglers are headed toward lanes that are already a little bit shoved. So I'd be kind of surprised if we saw any jungle action for the time being. So everybody should get to settle in pretty nicely here for game number 4. That's always a worry. You know, elimination game, if you get behind or ahead too far early, it can really warp the way that you play and perceive it. But for now, we chillin'.
Yep.
So tomorrow, it's the C9 group, right? Do you think
I
there's?
believe so. It's the Group A. It's the group at Worlds, all things considered. I mean, Rogue notwithstanding, it's the top representatives from every other region, I believe. Actually, C9 isn't Seed 1, is it? Are they?
It's FPX. Never mind. Yeah, it's FPX Damwon Rogue C9,
Yep.
which is uh, 2 from China, 1 from Korea. Anyway, Winged is caught. He's going to get knocked up, trying to trade it back. Blazing Cake over the wall. Trades it 1 for 1, but now with Garithar in his back pocket, Cypher's going to have to get out of there. But I actually didn't see who got first blood. It looks like Udyr is the one that gets first blood, so Cake gets the return kills. Both junglers have to burn their flash in the process, and both junglers will be pretty happy about that one.
Yeah, definitely. And to a certain extent, Wing can be a little bit happy that his lane opponent wasn't the one who got first blood, but it still feels pretty horrible, actually.
Yeah, Vision of Empire. Ooh, goes in with the flash. Just gonna cast Gun directly into Cardinals and force him to flash away. Um,
Can't do that. That's illegal. Not not this deep into the night.
um, yeah, so FPX, Damwon, Rogue, Cloud9, which is 1 from Korea, 2 from China, 2 from, or 3 from Europe, and 4 from NA. They got the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Nice.
Oh no, they got the 1, 2, 3, 3. Never mind. There's no 4th seed from NA.
I
Imagine
was
NA getting a 4th seed.
the oh, I mean, you would bring in the fourth team from the most competitively successful international region, right?
AKA, you're bringing in TSM, so, you know, we're bringing in the memes, and that's really what people are watching Worlds for.
An attempt,
An
to
attempt.
be sure.
Yes, Risai is fine, and he is out of there.
In fact, chilling. One thing that this bot lane accomplishes is
Ooh,
that
alright.
we're seeing level 4 supports in quotes here because there's 3 of them in that lane, walking around on the map just being nuisances of themselves while we get the AFK farm off from Haru Haru and Boar.
Yeah, Boar had shoved in the lane, so he goes back. Garithar doesn't go back, instead roams to mid, but Saber's already there with the counter roam, and we we hanging out.
I
That's a really
I
long
can't
range barrel. That feels a little longer than it should be. Sorry.
I can't watch him cast Q without hearing he casts gun in my head now, and I fully blame you for it. Every time he walks up and shoots Orin, it's just
He cast
I
gun.
cast gun.
Um, yeah, so he announces all of his moves. Like, he announces that he's got barrels and that he puts them down. He
Oh,
also, therefore, should probably announce
yeah.
that he has gun. Gun!
I love it. But yeah, for all the casting of gun he's been doing, he has just burned Cardinal's TP, pretty much by virtue of just being Gangplank.
Oh, Garithar? That wasn't
You
the
probably aren't allowed
most
to be
successful.
there.
Yeah, Boar is doing a little bit of damage, but the shields are already pretty thick from Saber and Haru Haru. Winged looking for it, gonna go for the ultimate on top of the Sona. They are able to burst her out, and Boar takes that kill. Haru Haru kiting back away, but the double TP coming in from Vision of Empire and Srisai. Can they actually get on top of any of these members of ROTM? Srisai is gonna have to jump back, and Vision going for the barrel chain. Ooh, the triple barrel onto Winged and Boar, but there's just not quite enough damage.
It was a pretty nice triple barrel, but I feel like Srisai ends up in a scenario where once again he pops the E a little bit too early and doesn't get to look for anything more afterwards. So a pretty nice pickup there on the backside of that dragon for Return to the Middle Sticks, and it's gonna accelerate Boar's first item quite a bit actually.
Yeah, Card's even grabbing a turret plate in the top lane because Vision has left. Anyway, have you seen the Muscle Wizard meme?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
no, huge
that's
fan of that.
that's just what I think of when I think of Gangplank. I don't know why I've associated those in my head, but just the Muscle Wizard cast us a spell. I cast Fist, but he cast Gun. I This is very tangential. This is me being tired at 10 p.m. and telling you stories about memes that people probably haven't seen in the chat, and therefore it's very relevant to the cast happening.
I mean, it's super relevant to me because I actually have seen those memes. Most of them, in fact. I'm probably a little bit too enriched in internet culture. Maybe you should dial it back, but it is fun flexing meme superiority on all of my friends. So
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just have to get that entrenched and then run maybe like an amateur League of Legends Twitter account, and then people remark about how good at the memes you are. By the way, follow at MiddlesticksGG on Twitter. Um,
shameless plug, shameless plug, shameless plug. It is actually worth it though. The memes are tier 1.
Anyway, Srisai, looking for Winged, gets rooted, and that's going to be all for that trade. But the Rift Herald does go the way of IKB. They got the Dragon earlier as well, so all these neutral objectives falling into their pocket. They even have a very tiny gold lead, so the only thing really flexed by our team right now is just that kill lead, which doesn't matter too much without the gold to back it up, but it looks a little nicer on the scoreboard, and that's really what we're here for.
Yeah, and off of
Oh,
that
the
early
one
death.
part. All right.
Okay.
He's just showing off now. Either he's on really
Yeah, a
low
little bit.
ping, or he's just really good at Gangplank. And um, yeah,
Yeah, this right here, what's happening on your screen is the Yone gameplay loop. Uh, and with that early kill, this counter matchup that Ewing has for himself, which has kind of been the story all series, which is just not really paying the dividends that maybe Rodham were hoping for. Not that he's losing lane by any stretch of the imagination, but he is down farm and he's kind of getting himself bullied out a little bit here. Even
yeah.
has Garethar in his back pocket to create space for him.
Cypher gonna get caught out, slowed down. That's a 90% slow for some reason, by the way. Um, Interesting. Yeah, Blazing Cake went for the W evolve first on the Kha'Zix, which is becoming more popular. I
I
think
was
it's
I
kind of
was pretty
interesting.
sure that's what we were going to see this
Yeah.
this game. It fits with the potential Serpents thing that's coming through, which I would really love to see Blazing Cake actually pick because it's such a cost-effective item in a game that includes but is not limited to Yone, Sona, Seraphine.
Udyr even has a shield.
Udyr even. Yeah, correct.
Winged has to invest the ultimate. Srisai takes the tower shot. Winged lives just barely. The snapback damage not quite enough for the Yone, and it's a solo kill for Winged underneath the tower. I don't think that that's necessarily the counter pick coming to play, but it's well played by Winged regardless, and now getting himself a little advantage in that lane.
Yeah, the only actionable decision that Winged has to make there is whether or not to Frozen Tomb himself and let Srisai live, or gamble the opportunity to kill Srisai by Frozen Tombing him instead. And the gamble pays off. He lives with like less than 20 HP probably, but lives regardless. So
Cardinals investing the Ornhorn mostly just to clear the wave at this point, but Rift Herald dropped directly on top of him. He's trying to defend this tower, but Shelly coming in, gonna knock him back and take the turret down to about 1,000 health. He did kind of defend it, right? Didn't allow it to get chunked all the way through, so the tower immediately fell, and that means that he's going to be able to continue to exist up in this top lane by himself. But Vision of Empire still. Oh,
huh?
oh, he's got Summoner's Public. Okay, I was like,
Oh, okay. I get it now. I'm there. I was so confused. I was like, this is how tired I am. This was the timeline of thoughts that went through my head. I'm like, oh, that's standard. He's just Zoe and used Ignite off of what he got off the lane minion, and then I didn't like register until about 2 or 3 seconds afterwards that there isn't a Zoe in this game at all, and I am in fact watching top lane Warren versus Gangplank.
yeah. Vision finishes up his Essence Reaver, so he's a very strong man right now. Kind of interesting as a connoisseur of strange Gangplank builds. This is very standard, unfortunately, from Vision of Empire. Flash forward for the Frozen Tomb. They're going to try to lock up the Yone. Srisai able to get out, doesn't get knocked up by the Strangle Thorns, and in fact will ult flash away to safety. Boar even sending the ultimate in, trying to go for the snipe. Doesn't look like he's going to get it. Ooh, he actually just had to dodge out of it with his E. It looked like he had to snap back, and now underneath tower, dodges away from the grasping roots, takes another little chunk from a winged Q. Garethar forced to flash, but the counter flash over the wall from Cypher means that the Gangplank ult, the Cannon Barrage doing so much damage, and the tag from the knockup from Srisai. In comes the teleport from Cardinals, trying to play defense right now. Cake getting a little bit of damage down. He has the W, but just tanks an extra tower shot, and that's going to be the end of that play. As again, IKB getting a little advantage in the mid lane, and they are hanging on to about 1,000 gold lead despite being down a kill.
Yeah, and that's just a really good investment of resources there, Cypher Soul, knowing that the Cannon
Cake
Barrage
is
can
in
come
so
through.
much trouble. Jeez, that's so much CC. And Haru finishes off that kill. And now, with the tower in the top lane, the first one going down to Vision of Empire, plus that kill, it's a 2,500 gold lead, despite not much action happening in this game for IKB. Just the superior right-clicking of the minions, mostly to blame.
So they were able to secure their blue buff. It did go to Garethar and not to Winged, but the fact that they don't lose it after Blazing Cake's untimely demise is actually, I mean, it's not like the most impactful thing in the world, but being able to hold on to your buffs anytime pre 20 minutes is pretty nice.
Yeah, sorry, I had a yawn. Winged has the Everfrost completed now, which means that he should be able to fight back a little bit better against Srisai, but you can see the damage really starting to stack up. That Zeal, as you've mentioned a couple of times now this series, is a big break point for Srisai to hit. And despite not having the Mythic at 15 minutes, he's getting the better of these trades right now on Winged. The dive forward, a lot of damage coming through from the auto attacks. Cardinals in his back pocket, has the ultimate to come through and just gets the assassination. The Ornhorn coming back through the flash forward. He's got the clap, not the double clap. He misses the knockup as well. And Srisai able to get out with the solo kill. What a nice play by the Yone.
Yeah, it's getting to a point where, like, yes, you've got the Everfrost early, but I honestly, if I were in Winged Shoes, would be prioritizing a little bit more armor. I would have maybe considered, like, an early Seeker's Arm Guard in this matchup. It's just so difficult for you to effectively trade into Yone when the character is built with no consequences.
And Boar and Gareth are continuing to try to push in. This is the lane that our team, it feels like they have to leverage, right? Is this Ezreal, who is, you know, a little ahead of schedule. He's got his Trinity Force completed. He's got a completed tier. Would like to turn that into a Manamune at some point soon. But he's very strong, although this might be too much. The split ultimates are enough to take down Garethar with the help of the Cannon Barrage. Boar goes in for the assassination, going to trade himself into the turret. So it's two for one. No, it's 2 for 2 in the bottom lane, with both bot lanes just biting it right ahead of this dragon spawn. Cypher Soul is going to walk in, and he's 2 levels up on Blazing Cake, so he can do basically whatever he wants in the Kha'Zix's jungle. He's waiting, looking for a smite, but not even going to be able to find that. And now the tower and bottom lane under fire. IKB have really impressed with their macro throughout the last 2 games.
Yeah, no, they really have. They recognize the opportunities that they have and then properly capitalize on them. Each person immediately going where they're most effective next. Oh, that was nice.
Ooh, even able to snap back right before the Lissandra ultimate hits, and now that's going to be down before the dragon, and that means that our team cannot contest this in any way. There's a couple of important ultimates down. Maybe they can find a pick, but I don't feel like this is a winning fight for them if they're able to walk in. Garethar not able to find the E, and Srisai punishes him for that one. IKB rolling over this fight. True Shopperaz doing a little bit of damage back in return. Cypher Soul getting chunked through, but he's still relatively healthy. They finish off the Gangplank barrel, making sure that no nonsense happens. But now Cake is low. Srisai diving in, looking for anything he can, but he'll snap back. They're going to use Shelly in the mid lane to get mid prio, and that should be a pretty easy unconsequential dragon take for IKB. They find another couple of kills. They continue really turning the screws on our TM season.
Yeah, it feels really difficult.
Oh, even the
Oh,
knockup. Okay.
yeah. It feels really difficult if you're ROTM to actually do anything in this game. Like it feels like you're back to game one where you're dealing with just a little bit too much healing to really fight back if you're not the ones getting the nice engage. And there's also just that many squishy targets to blow up at range when you've got options like Sona ult and Cannon Barrage and stuff like that. Garithar can die really easily, so can Blazing Cake, honestly, at this point.
All right. So you know how we mentioned that 4 champions have a shield? Well, add an
Yeah.
extra shield to Srisai and then put one on Gangplank now. The Immortal Shield bow's finished up for both of those champions. And Cake didn't rush the Serpent's Fang. I don't know that you rush a Serpent's Fang under
I
even this
think second item
circumstance.
Serpents is fine in this game, but it really does need to be second item or you're starting to lose its effectiveness at a certain point. Like, you want a pit stop for more anti-healing, but I feel like it's less effective than the Serpent's Fang could be on Blazing Cake. You've got other characters who can build anti-healing this game. You've already notably got it on in a passive way on Cardinals and an active way to apply it on Garithar, so
Yeah, this is
this is going
probably.
to be
Oh,
painful.
yeah, this one
Yep.
probably hurts. I don't think Winged really has anywhere to go. Oh my god, the
Yeah, no, he's
crit
just
even just for a little extra on the end, and Gangplank gets the solo kill, and now I keep calling him Cypher, just trying to run down Garithar. Does get knocked up by the Strangle Thorns. A little bit of damage coming back through, but they can't zero him out, and now Boar in trouble as Srisai dives in, flashes over the wall, and this Yone has looked so good for Srisai.
yeah, it continues to look incredible for him, and also it continues to just be heartbreaking to watch characters that would normally die in any other scenario just live because of this really effective bot lane that IKB have drafted for themselves. If Sona's not saving people, Seraphine is, and vice versa.
Yeah, Baron started up now right on spawn for Imperial Knights Blue. Blazing Cake is around the side looking for anything he can. Srisai over the wall, just going to chunk through him, force him to use his ultimate, and that Void Assault now on cooldown. In comes a teleport from Cardinals. There's still 4,000 health on the Dragon. Or the Baron, excuse me, the purple thing. And IKB going to back out. They don't quite have the damage to chunk through it, but they've bought time and distance for Vision of Empire to continue his assault on this bottom lane turret.
And it feels like this game is rapidly collapsing in front of our eyes. It's been about that way for the last 2 minutes or so. IKB have really ramped up the pressure, and I think they can see the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. How do you feel about the... I was going to say, I don't know if this is just me not playing too much Summoners. They're just not going to let me talk. All right. A couple of ults being exchanged. Ooh, True Shot Barrage isn't going to be anywhere
Now,
close. That was a lot of
now we're
healing
just
and
using
shielding.
abilities to use them.
Yeah. This
It
feels a
feels like.
little desperate from ROTM. I still want to ask about the Eclipse, but I might never actually get a time to. So now I've mentioned it as Boar no longer worth mentioning. He's down, Srisai in, gets a little bit of damage, chunked through Cypher, looking for the engage. They invest the Cannon Barrage to try to turn. The root from Haru Haru means that Blazing Cake's going to have to jump away, and all 4 members of our team... Oh, the one part from Vision of Empire gets the kill onto Garithar, and they're just rolling on through another barrel. Why not? Haru Haru gets that kill, and Imperial Knights are going to roll through more towers here in the mid lane. They have their choice of objectives, and it looks like it's going to be the Baron.
And why not, right? Like, you're this far into it, you've got more than enough damage to take this objective. You're even gonna leave Vision of Empires here to get damage down on this tower. Take everything you can and give nothing back.
I like that. Just throw in some
I
pirates. Yeah, why not?
yeah, I mean, just a little bit of original pirates, right? It's still that one has some of my favorite lines in cinema.
Yeah, Cake looking for the steal. He's into the pit, but he just doesn't have the damage. It's secured by Srisai, and they'll squash the bug at the end as well. 14-5 in kills. IKB up 12,000 gold, 5 Baron buffs strong. This looks deadly now for ROTM. Can they hold on at all?
That was actually really close, much closer than I think it had any right to be. I'm pretty sure I saw either double digits or at least a 3-digit number starting with 1 at the end of Blazing Cake Smite there. So a valiant effort, but I really don't know what you're supposed to do if you're Return to the Middle Sticks in this scenario. Like, you're obviously given this dragon, right?
Mm.
That's guaranteed.
Yeah,
Or you're
Cardinals is hit.
not. I mean, Boar's just doing Boar things.
Yeah, Cardinals
He
is
does
hit.
this occasionally.
Cardinals is hit level 13. He's starting to get some of those ornaments through. You have a potential for a Serpent's Fang. I think that is like the minimum that you need is maybe an ornament or two and a Serpent's Fang. Ooh, that True Shot Barrage. They're getting close on these objectives. Not close enough, but yeah, I don't know. This feels like a 10 to 15 minute game plan that ROTM need to pull off, and I don't think they have 10 to 15 minutes right now. IKB have been playing magnificently in this elimination game. They're diving on through. Boar very low, but he's going to be able to survive. Just a no, he isn't. Never mind. The cannon barrage over the top. Vision of Empire breaking out the gangplank and showing up. The root lands onto Garithar underneath the tower, and they're just going to continue on through the flash gun from Vision of Empire. They'll get the root. Cardinals is dancing in the base. I don't know if he got hit by a crescendo or if he was just dancing. But regardless, the inhibitor going to fall, and in comes the death for Return of the Middle Sticks. Can they hold on? The last-ditch effort on the Nexus turrets. Big Ornhorn through from Cardinals, but there's just no damage from the ROTM members. Cake has to do the bunny hop away. In goes Wing, but they can't finish off Srisai. Finally do with the help of the tower, but it's just too little too late. Now Boar in it looking for the 1v4. The True Shot Barrage sails a little bit wide. It's a double kill for Haruharu here at the end. The root's not going to land from Garithar. The knockup's coming through, but it just doesn't matter. The turret's slowly being whittled down. And IKB are going to advance to the semifinals, a 3-1 victory, and 3 relatively dominating wins as well. They showed 3 different styles. They well and fully deserving of the victory. They're going to advance again, and you can watch them next week on the Legend stream.
Yeah, I gotta hand it to them. This was a really impressive display of versatility from them. I don't think we saw 3 exactly the same game plans, just swapping out different characters. It felt like each team comp had an identity, and you know, it wasn't. The reason I appreciate the fact that you're bringing up how deserved it was is that Rodham didn't like choke super hard tonight or anything. Our boys did a pretty solid job of fighting back, even pulling out one of their own wins in fairly dominant fashion. So it was a nice series, all things considered, and it was a joy to cast it.
Yeah. Well, that being said, that's it for Crowstorm for the season as they're eliminated. Both of our LRS teams gone. We've only got one team left. We've got Pain and Panic on Wednesday night in the semifinals, so tune in and support the boys. Tuesday as well, we're going to have the final regular season game of the UAL season, so you'll want to tune in for that. But that'll do it here from myself. Thank you for joining me again tonight, Oath. Always a pleasure to babble about video games with you. And yeah, I'm gonna kick it over to. We're gonna raid Legends because it looks like they're still in their game. They're actually in Game 5 right now.
Yeah, Game 5 experience for Legends, so definitely go check out the action over there on the opposite side of the bracket.
Yeah, so again, thank you guys for joining us. If you don't follow the stream, please hit the follow button, as that does help out Return to the Middle Sticks. And we'll see you guys next week for UAL on Tuesday, and then LAS semifinals on Wednesday.
Okay, I think we're clear.